Yimo looked at the Emperor Dao crystal and breathed easy. This time, it was really an Emperor Dao crystal without a doubt. Yimo put the Emperor Dao crystal in a jade box and then put restrictions over it before sending it into his golden page world. Yimo looked at the Emperor Dao crystal and breathed easy. This time, it was really an Emperor Dao crystal without a doubt. Yimo put the Emperor Dao crystal in a jade box and then put restrictions over it before sending it into his golden page world. Yimo estimated that the Dao discussion social had begun. He knew that if he used the teleportation formation disk, he must leave immediately or he would be caught by the immortal emperors. Those immortal emperors wouldn't be able to stop the willpower of the Emperor Fall Mountain, but they can definitely feel any space ripples here. Even a mortal king and a mortal monarch would be able to notice it. Realizing this, Yimo wasn't in a rush to leave and went into the golden page world first. In there, his spirit sense carefully scanned the spirit sense mark left by the middle-aged man. He wanted to leave the spirit sense mark at the Will Mountain, but he didn't know what was the point in doing that. As soon as Yimo's spirit sense went into the mark, it caused some ripples. Yimo was certain that if he didn't bind the spirit sense mark, he wouldn't be able to use spirit sense to check it. When Yimo felt the spirit sense wave, he rejoiced. He was a formation great master. Although he couldn't get out the spirit sense restriction inside the mark, it didn't mean he didn't know what it was. This spirit sense mark was a teleportation formation disk. If someone touched it, it would teleport away the person with the spirit sense mark. This meant that if the spirit sense mark was on him, that middle-aged man would be able to teleport him to the ethereal immortal pond no matter where he was. Yimo took in a cold breath. This guy had calculations upon calculations. If he wasn't lucky, he would have no freedom at all with this spirit sense mark on him unless he stayed in the golden page world. It seems that red jade card was a fake. He didn't know what that red card was for, but it definitely didn't lead to the ethereal immortal pond. Yimo decided to use it first. Yimo picked up the red jade card and neared the spirit sense mark. He had decided to force the spirit sense mark into the red card. However, before he did anything, the middle-aged man's spirit sense mark hid in the red card already. Seeing this, Yimo didn't hesitate and went out of the golden page world immediately. He threw out the teleportation formation disk. The teleportation formation disk brought out a veil and swept Yimo away from the peak of the Will Mountain. The time will power here was terrifying, but it couldn't stop the teleportation of teleportation formation disk. As soon as Yimo came out, he threw out an explosion rune and left behind the red jade card with the middle-aged man's spirit sense mark before teleporting away. Immediately, Yimo took out that rune the middle-aged man gave him for escape. It was very precious. The middle-aged man said that as long as it wasn't an immortal emperor here personally, he would be able to get away. It was too much of a pity to use it, but he didn't dare not to. If he dared to be stingy under the eyes of a few immortal emperor, it was asking for death. Thus, he only used instant transmission once. It was to let the immortal emperor's spirit sense scan that the space ripple he caused was very ordinary. Now, he rested all his hope on that escape transmission rune. He just hoped it wasn't too bad. At the outskirts of the Emperor Fall Mountain on the Dao discussion stage, an extremely young Great Eternity Immortal was speaking confidently. A few immortal emperors sat in the clouds above the stage and listened. Every word the Great Eternity Immortal spoke was enveloped by special restriction on the stage and turned into Dao sounds falling around people's ears. Focus chi to soft. Know will like infant, cleanse and observe the abstruse. Material nourishment is aging. This isn't Dao. Early end if not Dao. Many immortals listened carefully to this Great Eternity Immortal's Dao meaning. Even the immortal emperors nodded from time to time, feeling this Great Eternity Immortal had a unique understanding of Dao. At this moment, the immortal emperors looked at the space above Emperor Fall Mountain at the same time. Yimo guessed right. His teleportation formation disk only created very minor space ripple, and these immortal emperors noticed. Even some immortal king and immortal monarch noticed this too. Almost instantly, all the immortal emperors and immortal monarchs scanned their spirit sense out. But after that space ripple, Yimo completely disappeared. The few immortal emperors smiled. They knew this ordinary wave wasn't made by a powerful being. Such clear space ripple meant that this person was at most an ordinary immortal king, or even below. Pengyi, immortal monarch, and Ruoming, immortal monarch, go have a look. Zhang Ren, immortal emperor, smiled. He was the person in charge of this social, so he couldn't go over. That way he can't let other immortal emperors go. Feng Kong, Grand Emperor, and Dragon River Grand Emperor didn't feel this was wrong. They all felt the person who caused that space ripple wouldn't be strong. Even if he hid there, 2 immortal monarchs were enough. Yimo felt a whirlpool wrap him away. When he woke up, he didn't find any space ripple wave behind him. This meant that their spirit sense wouldn't be able to scan here. He was safe. Such a powerful rune, Yimo sighed. Even a careless immortal emperor might not be able to catch him. But this was a pity. Perhaps what he earned wasn't worth as much as this rune. Just when Yimo wanted to check where this was, he saw 2 dashing lights come at him. Yimo didn't move. "It's you? You dare to come here?" A very enjoyable voice sounded. Yimo saw who it was and rested easy. He scanned his spirit sense out, and when he realized where he was, he cursed. That old bastard teleported him to ethereal immortal pond. "What? Weren't you with your sister?" That voice scorned Yimo again. Yimo quickly saluted with his fists. "Yimo, greet Ningyu Saint." Yimo felt strange. Theoretically, Ningyu should have the right to go to the Tao discussion social. Why was she at the sect? "Thanks to you, I'm being punished by the sect. I'm no longer a saint. Are you happy?" Ningyu looked at Yimo with colder eyes, but she was also bewildered why Yimo's hair turned white. Yimo looked at the immortal next to Ningyu. He was near Great Eternity Immortal Peak stage and was extremely handsome. His hair formed a butterfly-shaped crest behind his back, making him seem very ethereal. Looking at these 2, Yimo thought of something. There were no male disciples in the ethereal immortal pond. This Great Eternity Immortal definitely wasn't from ethereal immortal pond. Yet he still appeared here alone with Ningyu. The only explanation was that he was who she liked. Perhaps she was kicked off saint because she didn't follow the rules. Thinking about this, Yimo smiled. "You agreed to let me go in. I'm very grateful for that. If there's anything I can help you with, I will try my best. Of course, I apologize for leaving here secretly. But you being impeached from saint position has nothing to do with me, right? Even if it is, it's not the main reason." Ningyu's face blushed. Of course she knew this. "Why did you come back here?" Ningyu didn't Yimo to be taken away by ethereal immortal pond immortal king. If something happened to Yimo, she would only Kuin. "I came to find my sister," Yimo said. "Didn't sister Shiyu go to Emperor Fall Mountain Tao discussion? How come you didn't go with her?" Ningyu looked at Yimo in confusion. Seeing her not ask about the ethereal immortal pond, Yimo breathed easy. This meant that the issue wasn't as serious as the middle-aged man said it was. Yimo immediately said in shock, "Tao discussion social is at Emperor Fall Mountain? Let me ask her." Yimo immediately took out his communication bead. He was going to tell Li Kuan to not go in the Emperor Fall Mountain. "If it isn't for Shiyu, you would be hunted by the ethereal immortal pond right now. Shiyu's master helped. Now you just have to come with me and apologize to ethereal immortal pond. Otherwise," Ningyu said. "If it isn't for Shiyu, you would be hunted by the ethereal immortal pond right now. Shiyu's master helped. Now you just have to come with me and apologize to ethereal immortal pond. Otherwise," Ningyu said. The handsome Great Eternity Immortal suddenly said Ningyu. "He's the great extreme immortal that made sect leader Chan furious? It's him." Ningyu stared at Yimo. "I still need to go ethereal immortal pond." Yimo sent the news and looked at Ningyu with a troubled face. "Of course," Ningyu said without hesitation. "Okay then, you two take me there. By the way, who are you, immortal friend?" Yimo looked at the handsome Great Eternity Immortal. Ningyu blushed. "It has nothing to do with him. I will take you there." "That's fine." Yimo nodded and said to himself, "This immortal friend is so handsome. I'll AKS the ethereal immortal Ponchian Bice later. What's he got to do with you?" Ningyu got annoyed. Yimo said seriously, "I see this immortal friend being so handsome. I have a good impression of him. Of course I need to ask around. Brother Chin, let's go." Ningyu glared at Yimo and turned to leave. The handsome great eternity immortal glanced at Emo with an intriguing look. You have a great future, but we don't seem to know each other. Then he left with Ning Yu goddess. Emo breathed easy. He knew that the two appeared here because no one knew. If he told this to ethereal immortal Pond, there was no benefit to her. Indeed, as soon as he mentioned that great eternity immortal, Ning Yu really ran off. Emo knew he offended another person. It was that great eternity immortal. His words meant that Emo didn't know him but used him to threaten Ning Yu. Nevertheless, Emo didn't care. His life mattered more. Making him go to ethereal immortal Pond to apologize was just an excuse. If ethereal immortal Pond couldn't find him, they might let him go, but if he really went to ethereal immortal Pond, he would be over. Plus, that middle-aged man's power was terrifying. He was teleported here for no reason. Now that Ning Yu left, Emo immediately used mobility technique and left the range of the sect. Outside the Dao discussion stage, two immortal monarchs landed silently. One of them held a red jade card. Pengyi, Ruoming, what's going on? Zhengren asked with a frown. The two bowed to the immortal emperors on the side before reporting, Immortal Emperor Master. We didn't find a trace of anyone there. There seemed to be a teleportation formation blown up by an explosion rune. Other than this, there's also this jade card. There's a spirit sense mark inside and we sealed it. Oh, show me. Feng Kong Grand Emperor immediately said. The two immortal monarchs handed the jade card to Feng Kong Grand Emperor. As soon as Feng Kong took the cards, his face changed. What's wrong? Dragon River Grand Emperor immediately asked. Have a look. Feng Kong Grand Emperor gave the card to Dragon River Grand Emperor. Dragon River Grand Emperor had a look, and his face also turned bad. He glanced at Feng Kong Grand Emperor before saying, the spirit sense mark is left by at least an immortal emperor peak or even half divine. That's right, but this person is quite heavily injured. If it's such person, then the thing inside Emperor Fall Mountain is probably gone. Feng Kong Grand Emperor said with a bleak face. Then what about the Dao discussion social? Zhengren Immortal Emperor thought and asked. It will continue. After all, this is just a guess. But I'm confused. Why did this master casually throw away his spirit sense mark? Feng Kong Grand Emperor said. It was another great eternity immortal on the stage now. He kept explaining his Dao. Many low-level immortals were immersed in this while Li Kuan seemed to be out of it. She had already asked her master to help intervene, so she really wanted to see Emo now and tell him what happened. At this moment, she suddenly received Emo's news. Emo asked her to go back to Changrong Heaven Flying Dawn Immortal City immediately. Emo didn't say she couldn't go into the mountain. He was scared the immortal emperors might see his message. Li Kuan didn't know how Emo went to Changrong Heaven again, but she didn't want to stay here anymore. Li Kuan messaged her master saying her brother is looking for her, and she couldn't stay here. Her master was only immortal monarch power, but she had the right to be on the panel of judges. Since she was from Longyu Emperor sect, Li Kuan's master saw the space ripple at the mountain too. She didn't mind that her disciple couldn't stay here. She never planned to let her disciple go in. Li Kuan was talented, but not the number one. There were many immortals much more talented than her, and things seemed to have happened at Emperor Fall Mountain. Although Li Kuan could leave, her master still asked to leave with Zhengren Immortal Emperor to pay her respects. Of course, Zhengren Immortal Emperor wouldn't mind. Li Kuan easily left and headed towards Flying Dawn Immortal City. A few days later, Emo saw Li Kuan again in the room inside Flying Dawn Tower. Li Kuan was very happy to see Emo and didn't seem to care about the Dao discussion social at all. Why did you come back to Changrong Heaven again? My master already intervened. I wanted you to go hear the Dao discussion social. Hearing their debates will benefit our cultivation. Li Kuan said excitedly. Emo smiled and poured a drunken jade well for Li Kuan before setting up a few restrictions and saying, Sister Shiyu, trust me, that Dao discussion social is indeed good, but having it at Emperor Fall Mountain is a mistake. What's going on? Li Kuan asked, seeing Emo was so careful. Emo said heavily, Sister Shiyu, the willpower and pressure of the mountain is immense. Even with 8 immortal emperors setting up restriction together, it's not enough. Perhaps everyone can pass the Emperor Fall Mountain and reach the foot of the Will Mountain, but they definitely can't get up the Will Mountain. If I didn't have enough fortune, I wouldn't be able to get up there. You went to Emperor Fall Mountain? What's going on? Li Kuan asked in shock. How did Yimo get in without the suppression of the immortal Emperor formation? There's Will River, Will Bridge, and Will Mountain in the Emperor Fall Mountain. How Heaven Grand Emperor's heritage is at the peak of the Will Mountain. In the blink of an eye, my hair turned all white. Seeing Li Kuan looked at him, Yimo added, after a few days of cultivation, I cultivated it back. I'm saying this because it's very dangerous there. How can you go to Emperor Fall Mountain alone? It's said that no one can come out from there. You're too bold. Li Kuan's face was bad. Yimo felt a little awkward and Li Kuan said helplessly, Are you worried about me going to Emperor Fall Mountain and climbing the Will Mountain? Yimo immediately nodded yes. Don't trust those immortal emperors. They definitely can't suppress the mountain completely. Li Kuan smiled. You underestimate those emperor sects. Although many prodigies came and many may go into the mountain, I'm certain there won't be many prodigies going in. Those sects aren't dumb. They let their core disciple come just to participate in the Tao discussion, not to go in the Emperor Fall Mountain. Hearing this, Yimo finally breathed easy. There's actually not much to How Heaven Grand Emperor's heritage. It's only a How Heaven drum and an Emperor Tao crystal. What? You got the Emperor Tao crystal? Li Kuan asked Yimo shakily. Yimo nodded, yes, and some old jade slips too. Li Kuan shakily stopped Yimo. How can you say that? Stop talking. An Emperor Tao crystal was enough to flip the 33 heavens, and Yimo said it wasn't much. I know. Sister Shiyu, don't worry. I have spirit sense domain here, no one can hear us. Even if a mortal Emperor spirit sense scans over, I can feel it. Yimo quickly explained. Li Kuan said carefully, no matter how confident you are, you can't casually expose that you got the Emperor Tao crystal. Do you know how many people would go crazy for it? I know, but I'm not interested in this, Yimo said. I know, but I'm not interested in this, Yimo said. He smiled at Li Kuan. So, I came to you for one thing, and that is to give the Emperor Tao crystal to you. You're going to give the Emperor DOA crystal to me? Li Kuan stared at Yimo in a daze. Her eyes were red. She truly considered Yimo a brother. She didn't know how Yimo thought before, but now, she realized that Yimo truly treated her as a sister too. If it wasn't so, he wouldn't tell her about the How Heaven heritage nor give the Emperor Tao crystal to her. Yimo nodded, yes, Sister 11U. I'm ONT interested in this. Thank you, brother. Li Kuan suddenly felt she wasn't alone in the immortal realm. At least she had a brother. Li Kuan then stopped Yimo from continuing to give it to her brother. Tell me why you don't want it? Do you know that with this you can reach the peak of the immortal realm? Reach the status everyone wants. There's not many immortal emperor in the 33 heavens, all because of how hard it is to become one. Then she looked at Yimo without blinking. If she didn't get a certain answer, she wouldn't let Yimo waste it. Yimo smiled with extreme confidence. I will vindicate my own Tao. I definitely won't walk the Tao someone else walked. How Heaven Grand Emperor was just an immortal emperor. His Emperor Tao crystal would at most let immortal monarch reach immortal monarch. Meanwhile, his opponents were Tao vindication divine emperors. If he can't even become an immortal emperor, how would he take on divine emperor? He might as well go into samsara. Okay. Li Kuan got up in excitement. Brother, you have your own god art. I knew you would vindicate your own Tao. Your mind state is much higher than mine. When I was thinking about how to get the Emperor Tao crystal to become immortal emperor, you already set your goals to Tao vindication divine emperor. Yimo smiled. Sister Shiyu, don't compliment me. I'm only a great extreme immortal primary stage now. I'm still far from immortal king, much less Tao vindication. But that Emperor Tao crystal is indeed useless to me. Brother, I'm going to use you as my role model. I will walk my own Tao too. If I use the Emperor Tao crystal, I would be ending my own Tao. Maybe I will use it when I can't break through to a mortal emperor. I might as well go samsara like you. I need to have the courage to seek my own Tao at least. Then Li Kuan looked at Yimo seriously. You keep it. Don't give it anyone casually nor tell anyone. Even if you don't use it, it might be useful in the future. Okay. Since Li Kuan was going to vindicate her own Tao, Yimo didn't force anything. Li Kuan's talent was very good. With some fortune, she can reach immortal emperor. I also want to talk to you about something, Li Kuan said. Continue. Yemo planned to go find a place for solitary cultivation in Jinshang Heaven. With his current resources, he would be able to reach Great Eternity Immortal. You said you're level 7 Immortal Pill Great Master Peak. How long would it take for you to reach level 7 Immortal Pill Grandmaster? Li Kuan asked. Yemo thought and said, if I have level 7 Immortal Spirit Herb, I would only need a decade, but my pill concoction heritage is different to others. 1 or 2 years is possible. Yemo said conservatively, if he had Immortal Spirit Herb, he would be able to reach level 7 Immortal Pill Grandmaster in a year. But who knows what might happen with pill concoction. He found that using Time Formation Disc was good, but if he didn't use Time Formation Disc it was better for the learning of pill concoction and forgery. Li Kuan looked at Yemo in a daze again. She thought that if Yemo could reach level 7 Immortal Pill Grandmaster in a century, she could enact her plan. No matter how much she trusted Yemo, she started to not believe Yemo could reach level 7 Immortal Pill Grandmaster this quickly. Yemo saw her look and knew she didn't believe him. Yemo just released the Shin Known Cauldron. Seeing this, Li Kuan's eyes narrowed. She couldn't tell what the grade of this cauldron was. Corner soul weed? Li Kuan saw it and felt her brother was very extraordinary. He always had things other people didn't have. In less than 5 minutes, a cauldron of spirit range dual spirit pill was before her. Only then did she realize Yemo wasn't bluffing. Now do you believe me? Yemo smiled. Li Kuan took a deep breath and said after a while, then I really earned big to be able to find a brother like you. Where did your corner soul weed come from? You must not spill you have such things. Sigh, there's too many secrets you can't tell. Li Kuan shook her head. Yemo didn't mind. He took out a few bottles of dual spirit pill and some dark weed and gave it to her. You can keep these. You have dark weed too? Li Kuan took them and nodded. She was a little immune to how insane Yemo was. Li Kuan also took out a storage ring and gave it to Yemo. It's some level 7 Immortal Spirit Herb inside. I asked for them for my master. Take it. Yemo rejoiced. He lacked high-level Immortal Spirit Herb the most. Li Kuan definitely asked for these just for him. With these he can reach level 7 Immortal Pill Grandmaster in a short time. Are you going to find a place for solitary cultivation? Li Kuan could tell what Yemo thought. Yemo didn't hide it. Yes, indeed I will leave Changrong Heaven. I might go Jinshang Heaven, then we'll meet here 5 years later. I'm planning to go find Pengyu Immortal Fruit 5 years later. If you reach level 7 Immortal Pill Grandmaster then come with me. You will need it anyways. Otherwise, even if I get Pengyu Immortal Fruit, I might not be able to get a E-King Pill. Li Kuan smiled. Sister Shiyu, you can find Pengyu Immortal Fruit? Yemo asked in surprise and joy. He had no pressure reaching Great Eternity Immortal, but it wasn't easy to go from Great Eternity Immortal to Immortal King. The main reason was the lack of Pengyu Immortal Fruit. Pengyu Immortal Fruit is level 7 Immortal Spirit Fruit, and a very rare one. It could be used to concoct E-King Pill. It's a pill necessary for the break through to Immortal King. Should be fine, but we need to go together. Li Kuan nodded. Okay, 5 years later I will definitely be level 7 Immortal Pill Grandmaster. Don't worry. Yemo got up and said, if he could get E-King Pill then he could break through to Immortal King. Then, he would immediately go back to Gonghua Heaven. He needed to take care of Lu Zhengchuan. Otherwise, all those who ascend from Luo Yu continent won't have it easy. Do you still have immortal crystals? Li Kuan was about to give Yemo another storage ring. Yemo waved his hand. No need. I killed that Great Eternity Immortal. I got more than 100 million immortal crystals. Then Yemo took out a new jade slip for Li Kuan. Sister Shiyu, you can use this for cultivation. I'm going. Seeing Yemo leave from the tower and then the city, Li Kuan felt her heart empty. She wanted to take him back to her sect to cultivate, but she realized he had too many secrets. Taking him back wasn't a good thing. So she could only watch him leave. She hoped she would be able to reach Immortal King 5 years later and protect him. When Yemo had disappeared, she looked at the jade slip. Ancient Spirit Sense Cultivation Method. Spirit will 9 transformations? Li Kuan almost called out in shock. She didn't expect Yemo gave her such precious thing. She had guessed Yemo had Spirit Sense Cultivation Method, but didn't expect it was Spirit will 9 transformations. Her brother was too generous. He was willing to give anything. However, There only seemed to be the first 4 transformations, but that was completely enough for her. With this, she would have much greater chance of survival. Immortal Graveyard Range. The range spanned for a few 100 million kilometers. It was said that tens of millions of years ago, there was a heaven domain battle here. The armies of a few heaven domains attacked Jin Shang heaven together. The final battle was at this immortal graveyard range. After that battle, the sky was dark red and tens of billions of immortals died here. The bodies were piled up to mountains. Later on, although the immortal spirit chi here was good, and there were many immortal spirit herb, very little immortals came. The yin chi here was too dense, even immortals couldn't take it. Yimo stood outside the range and felt the bleak wind strike him. The reason he came here was because the fragmented map Kaifeng Immortal King gave him was here. Ordinary immortals wouldn't be able to withstand the yin chi here at all. Yimo cultivated the 3-birth chant and was a mortal spirit body, but even so, he felt the power of the bleak wind. Ordinary immortals wouldn't be able to withstand the yin chi here at all. Yimo cultivated the 3-birth chant and was a mortal spirit body, but even so, he felt the power of the bleak wind. Perhaps no powerful being died here, but there were too many dead ordinary immortals. But this was the perfect place for Yimo to go into solitary cultivation. He cultivated in the Golden Page world. Kaifeng Immortal King said there was very precious forgery materials here. If that material could upgrade Zisu again, it would be magnificent. The Rainbow Half-God art required a lot on Zisu itself. The higher level of Zisu, the higher the power. Yimo flew towards the depth of the range. The deeper, the lesser people and the safer he was. For hours later, that bleak wind was making Yimo shiver, and thus Yimo stopped going forward. This wasn't the deepest part, but it was enough for his cultivation. If he really wanted to go deeper, he would just have to release Spirit Sense Domain, and the bleak chi would affect him minimally. Just when he wanted to go underground and enter the Golden Page world, he noticed Shadowless sent him a message. He wanted to come out. Yimo didn't care. Shadowless could devour essence spirit. It was normal that he wanted to come out and devour souls. But many spirits here have formed intelligence. He warned Shadowless to be careful and threw him out. It was hard for Shadowless to evolve. It would benefit him if he devoured many spirits here. Shadowless told Yimo to rest assured and soon disappeared into the depth of the range. Yimo entered the earth and set up a few stealth restrictions, as well as a few void activation restrictions before going into the Golden Page world. He was going into a long solitary cultivation here. Then, Yimo took out the time formation disk inside the Golden Page world. He killed a Great Eternity Immortal Middle Stage and got nearly 100 million Immortal Crystals. That Great Eternity Immortal Middle Stage was rather wealthy, but his magic artifacts was bad. The only decent one, the Stone Sword, was shattered by him. Inside the time formation disk, Yimo took out the Du Luo Heaven Fruit immediately. One could only eat one. He got 6 and left one to Zhenbingyu. He still has 5 now. The Du Luo Heaven Fruit melted in his mouth immediately into a fresh, aromatic liquid. Before Yimo could taste it properly, powerful immortal spirit chi ravaged Inese meridians. The terrifying power of this fruit made Yimo worry if Zhenbingyu could handle it. But soon, he didn't worry anymore. The magic about the Du Luo Heaven Fruit was that it would release different amounts of power based on the person. Even if one couldn't digest it, it would be stored as potential in the body. But for Yimo, this was no problem. He washed in the ethereal immortal pond. His meridians were wide and body powerful. It had only been a day inside the time formation disk, but Yimo felt the Du Luo Heaven Fruit's effects were fading, and yet he was still some distance away from Great Extreme Immortal Middle Stage. One fruit wasn't enough indeed. Yimo ate the second fruit without hesitation. Even though the difference was just 1 day, but the effect was clearly weakened. Yimo found that he was still that little bit from Great Extreme Immortal Middle Stage. Without hesitation, Yimo ate the third fruit. Rumble. His immortal essence had a qualitative change again. Yimo felt endless immortal essence rush over, and his spirit sense grew another level stronger. Yimo breathed. He knew he had reached Great Extreme Immortal Middle Stage. Great Extreme Immortal Middle Stage. EMO then set up a spirit-gathering immortal formation on the broken extreme-grade immortal range. Even though it was broken, it was still 10 km long, and the immortal spirit chi was extremely dense. It was countless times better than immortal crystals. After setting up the immortal formation, EMO immersed into cultivation again, forgetting that Shadowless was still at immortal graveyard range. Immortal spirit chi cloud gathered in the golden page world, forming an immortal mist that grew thicker and thicker above EMO's head. Then, it formed waves of immortal mist and rushed at EMO. EMO just kept using 3 birth chant to digest the immortal spirit chi. Time slowly passed, and when it had been 4 years outside the golden page world, EMO had cultivated in the time formation disk for 400 years. Crack. The immortal spirit chi of the broken immortal range was dense and quite plenty, but it couldn't last EMO's terrifying devour. When he broke through to Great Extreme Immortal Tertiary Stage and near Great Eternity Immortal Peak Stage, it dissipated. EMO sighed. He finally understood the use of Duluo Heaven Fruit. It contained a lot of immortal spirit chi and top-grade nourishment, but it's mainly used for digging out the potential of immortals. Other immortals, after cultivating for a long time, would have hidden potential, so they could use a fruit to break through a level. He was different. He cultivated the 3 birth chant and pretty much utilized all his potential. That's why his breakthrough was so hard, and even after he did, he devoured immortal spirit chi to supplement the lack of immortal spirit chi before he broke through. If he didn't use Duluo Heaven Fruit to reach Great Eternity Immortal Middle Stage, he was certain that he was be Great Eternity Immortal Peak Stage after devouring this entire immortal range. But even so, EMO didn't mind. He was only 1 line away from Great Eternity Immortal Peak Stage. He still had tens of millions of immortal crystals. It should be enough for him to reach Great Extreme Immortal Peak Stage. Once he did, he would immediately break through to Great Eternity Immortal. Tens of millions of immortal crystals were used up too quickly for EMO crack. Just when EMO reached Great Extreme Immortal Peak Stage, those immortal crystals turned to dust. Not a single bit was left. EMO shook his head helplessly. He was certain that if he didn't have pills too, these definitely wouldn't be enough. Now, EMO immediately came out of the golden page world. He put away the surrounding formation flags and landed on the immortal graveyard range. As soon as EMO came out, he sent out spirit sense blades. He really wanted to know if his spirit sense blades got stronger. Rumble. One casual blade hacked open a huge boulder that was 10 meters long. The surrounding bleak chi was split like a parted river. EMO nodded in satisfaction, thinking that since his spirit sense was so much stronger, the spirit sense blades have materialized. It seemed he could go find a place for divine damnation. The bleak chi seemed to know EMO's power and didn't dare to gather back. Seeing this, EMO suddenly thought of Shadowless. Shadowless was out for 4 years and just disappeared. Although Shadowless could rarely help him now, EMO brought him from Earth and thus had a deep connection with him. He didn't want anything to happen to Shadowless. EMO immediately began to search for Shadowless, and 15 minutes later, there was this faint mark emanating from the depth of the range. If Shadowless was fine, it would come back immediately when he called him, but now, it went deeper instead. EMO's face sunk. He was certain that Shadowless was either captured or trapped. EMO immediately released Blue Moon and shot out his spirit sense domain and flew into the depth of the immortal graveyard range. Blue Moon flew faster and faster, and the Yin Chi grew heavier, but they were all blocked by EMO's spirit sense domain. 4 hours later, EMO stopped. 3 Great Eternity Immortal were not far ahead of EMO. 2 women and 1 man. The man was very handsome and Great Eternity Immortal Tertiary Stage. The 2 women were a middle-aged beautiful woman and an extremely pretty young girl. The middle-aged woman was halfway Immortal King, and the pretty young girl was also Great Eternity Immortal Tertiary Stage. Shadowless was the young girl but restricted. The 3 Great Eternity Immortals were shocked. A Great Extreme Immortal dared to use flying magic artifact in here and flew this fast. Was he not afraid of the Yin Chi here? They looked as EMO landed, but no one spoke. The 3 Great Eternity Immortals were shocked. A Great Extreme Immortal dared to use flying magic artifact in here and flew this fast. Was he not afraid of the Yin Chi here? They looked as Emo landed, but no one spoke. Emo saluted with his fists. I'm Emo. Hello, three immortal friends. The middle-aged woman didn't underestimate Emo and also saluted with her first. So it's immortal friend ye. Renfu greet immortal friend. Why did you suddenly catch up to us? The middle-aged woman could tell that Emo had some business. Yemo's eyes stayed on Li Jin the most as though he had some business with her. Seeing this, Emo nodded. I have a bug that was playing in the immortal graveyard range. When I came out of solitary cultivation, it was gone. I wonder if you guys have seen it. With this, Renfu immediately realized that the shadowless worm belonged to this great extreme immortal. He was so lucky to get a shadowless worm. They would have to evolve, but if they did, they would have huge power. So that shadowless worm is immortal friend Yes, good fortune, immortal friend ye. Half a month ago, we saw a wobbly bug, and when we caught it we found it was a shadowless bug, so we kept it. Since this shadowless worm is immortal friend Yes, of course we'll return it to you. Renfu was unexpectedly so easy to talk to. If they weren't going to return shadowless, he was about to fight. But then Emo realized, Shadowless already recognized him as master. It was pointless to take it. Yes, Shadowless is indeed mine. Sorry for troubling you three, thank you, Emo said. Li Jin, since Shadowless worm is immortal friend Yes, return it to him, Renfu said to that great eternity immortal young girl. The girl was very unhappy that her auntie admitted they had it, and now that she had to give it back, she was more unhappy. But the owner had already chased over. So she groaned, this Shadowless had no owner in the immortal graveyard range. I've kept it for half a month. Who knows it belongs to him? Anifu, would he be tricking us? Emo's face sunk. He was annoyed. It was clear that even if he was scamming, they would know if they let Shadowless out. If he was the master, Shadowless would fly back immediately. This young girl clearly wanted to keep Shadowless. Although it can only recognize one master, but each time it evolved, its silk could be forged into top-grade immortal robes. Not only Emo's face sunk, but Renfu was unhappy too. She reproached Li Jin. What is ours others can't take? What isn't ours, we can't force it. Take it out. The handsome great eternity immortal smiled Li Jin. Whether Shadowless worm belongs to this immortal friend, you will know if you take it out. If it is his, I don't want you to keep it too. Okay then. The girl took out a rune. Shadowless was restricted by the rune. Immediately, Shadowless saw Emo and squeaked. You pig, you have the face to squawk. Emo roared angrily. Shadowless didn't dare to make a sound again. Clearly, Shadowless was owned by Emo. Seeing this, the young girl knew that if she tried to keep Shadowless it would be unreasonable, so she could only put away the rune. Immediately, Shadowless flew onto Emo. The three just realized that if Shadowless wasn't wobbly because of eating so much, they really wouldn't be able to catch it. Thank you three immortal friends for treating Shadowless well. Emo was grateful that they didn't fight and resolve the matter. Renfu clearly realized that Emo wasn't ordinary and smiled. You're too polite, immortal friend ye. I see you can still release flying magic artifact and go rapidly here, not being affected by Yin Qi. I believe your Yonglin pill must be very high grade? Yonglin pill? Emo looked at Renfu in confusion, but soon realized that the reason they could come here unaffected was due to this pill. Emo immediately answered, I didn't use Yonglin pill, nor do I know what it is. Hearing this, Renfu's eyes lit up. Then what pill did immortal friend you use? Or what way do you have to not be affected by Yin Qi? Emo was lost for words. How could he say that it was due to his immortal spirit body, 3 birth chant and spirit sense domain? My bad. Renfu was clearly well-mannered. The male cultivator frowned and said nothing, clearly feeling Emo wasn't good enough. They gave back Shadowless without asking for anything, and yet Emo didn't want to tell that his way of avoiding Yin Qi. The young girl sneered on Fu. I told you, not everyone is as generous as you. Li Jin, don't say that. Renfu reproached the girl and then smiled to Emo. In that case, we won't disturb immortal friend Yi. She wanted to bring Emo along with them, but since Emo didn't even want to spill this secret, there was no need. Seeing the three leave, Emo had no choice. He glanced at the fearful Shadowless and knew this guy fell into other people's hands because he ate too much. He was very unhappy, but he didn't have time to waste with Shadowless. He was planning to break through to Great Eternity Immortal and then find the extreme grade material according to Kai Feng, Immortal King's map. Because he didn't have immortal crystals, he needed to find a place with dense immortal spirit chi and set up spirit gathering immortal formation. Yimo threw Shadowless into the Golden Page world and just wanted to leave, but then he noticed Shadowless immediately charge at that restricted Emperor Dao crystal. "You want to eat it?" Yimo asked, and Shadowless immediately gave an intense desire for it. Yimo was confused. A few years ago, Shadowless didn't even dare to eat it, but now he wanted to? Shadowless sent Yimo more information, and Yimo realized. Shadowless devoured too many yin chi and souls in these few years. Eating the Emperor Dao crystal now was perfect. Yimo didn't mind. If he had the deal with Hao Heaven Grand Emperor, he would give it to Zhang, but now, Shadowless can devour it. Yimo removed the restriction and Shadowless immediately ate the fist-sized crystal. This time, Shadowless' body immediately expanded like a ball. This made Yimo worried. It was as though this ball would explode at any time. But Shadowless flew down to the bitter bamboo wobbly and fell into sleep again. Yimo wondered what this guy would be like when he woke up. Just when he wanted to find a place for divine damnation, he heard a terrified scream of pain and an intense space wave. Those three were in trouble. Yimo could immediately tell that scream was from the young girl. Yimo flew over immediately. Renfu gave him a good impression. He didn't mind helping them. Tens of seconds later, Yimo saw with his spirit sense that Renfu and the handsome man were attacking a dark-faced old man. They all had the lower hand. Renfu didn't seem quiet and peaceful like before. Her hair was messy, and she attacked with her magic artifact like crazy. Li Jin had lost an arm. The clothes on her body had been torn, and two sturdy balls on her chest were revealed. She was completely restricted and laid on the ground in shock. Another great extreme, immortal tertiary stage man was going to pull down the other half of her dress. Another great extreme, immortal tertiary stage man was going to pull down the other half of her dress. No wonder she was screaming. Yimo could tell that the man pulled off her dress not to rape her but to insult her. Everyone saw Yimo arrive. "Immortal friend Yi, please save Li Jin," Renfu said worriedly, but before she finished, another ice arrow shot into her shoulder, bringing out a spray of blood. Although Yimo had a bad impression of this girl, the man and Renfu gave him a good impression. Seeing Yimo come over, the great extreme immortal tertiary stage man didn't continue. He got up and retreated a few steps. Yimo opened the girl's restriction and gave a pill to her before saying, "Put on your clothes and connect your arm." The girl's face was very pale. She immediately put on her clothes and connected her arm. She didn't even look at Yimo's pill and just ate it. "Who are you? How dare you intervene with our business?" The great extreme immortal tertiary stage saw Yimo's power was stronger than his and didn't dare to fight. The old man looked at Yimo. He seemed to know Renfu and stopped as though fearing Yimo would suddenly attack that great extreme immortal. Clearly, that great extreme immortal was important to him. Renfu quickly charged up to the girl and helped her recover. Yimo studied this black-faced old man. He was also halfway Immortal King and was one step away from Immortal King. No wonder these two great eternity immortal were no match for him. "You're a mere great extreme immortal, and you dare to intervene with my business?" the black-faced man said coldly. Yimo didn't care at all. Even though this guy was just one line from Immortal King, he still wasn't Immortal King. The difference between the two here huge. It was a qualitative and quantitative difference. Yimo smiled. "If I wanted to intervene, I would have attacked now. Do you see me attacking?" If he wanted to kill this great extreme immortal, he only needed one move. This old man wouldn't even be able to save him in time. Yimo just knew Renfu and owed them one. That's why he helped. He didn't care who was right or wrong. He didn't want to get involved. The old man stared at Yimo for a while and didn't attack him. Yimo dared to fly here, and he easily removed the restriction of the young girl. This made him a little concerned. He set the restriction, and yet Yimo easily opened it. This meant that Yimo might be stronger than him. Plus, now that the girl's restriction was open, they had an extra great eternity immortal. Plus this, supposed great extreme immortal, he wasn't scared, but he wouldn't be able to protect his disciple. "Since you don't want to intervene, then please leave." This is our private affairs. The old man said. Emo said, of course I'm going to go, but I owe these 3 immortal friends. If I didn't see it, then never mind, but I saw it, so I need to pay them back, or I wouldn't be able to rest at heart. What are you going to do? You think I can't kill you? The dark-faced man said as his killing intent spilled out. Renfu handed the girl to the man and released her magic artifact, standing next to Emo. Hey Warren, try it then. You think the Urin immortal residence is easy to abuse? Emo really didn't care about this. Hey Warren. He was great extreme immortal peak stage now. Renfu said, the reason Hey Warren is fighting us is because he knows we have a map of the immortal graveyard range. Immortal friendy, thank you for saving Li Jin. Although my map piece might not lead to the treasure, but there's some hope. You're not afraid of Yin Chi, we can cooperate. Immortal treasure? Emo asked in confusion. Renfu nodded yes. You should know how the immortal graveyard range came to be, right? I know. Emo answered. That's right. After that battle, many immortals died here, leaving behind countless treasures. Although the battlefield was roughly cleaned, they weren't able to do it precisely due to the emergency of the situation. However, one immortal king didn't die, and he collected the countless good things here and hid it somewhere. However, the immortal king wasn't lucky, and when he was planning to go, he saw someone who planned to do the same thing. They fought, and both were heavily injured, with only Essence Spirit escaping. Ever since, there was no more news of the two. A few million years passed, and everyone gradually forgot about this. My map might be from the Essence Spirit of the escaped immortal king. Renfu said. Emo was dazed. The battlefield of billions. How many things would be left behind? Emo was interested, but he didn't know why Renfu would say this in front of Hey Warren. Renfu seemed to know what Emo thought and explained. Our Urin immortal residence has been searching here for countless years. People would come every few decades. Because the map is incomplete, we have no clue up until now. But somehow, Hey Warren got news of this and came probably to rob my map. Hey Warren stared coldly at Renfu and didn't argue. He only guessed they had a map. The residents never gave up searching the immortal graveyard range. Many people were bewildered, and so was he. He only knew why after he got a map piece as well. Renfu sound transmission to Emo. You know why he's called Hey Warren? It's because he has a brother called by Warren. The two had the name meaning that they wouldn't tolerate anything. Their means are very cruel and inhumane. Luckily, Bai Warren didn't come today. Otherwise, we'd die a very gruesome death. Hey Warren sneered Renfu. You think I came to rob your map? Look at this. Hey Warren threw out a jade slip. Your map is incomplete. I have a share too. If you're willing to cooperate, bring out your jade slip and we can work together to find the treasure. Renfu dazed, not expect Hey Warren to have a map too. Emo thought, he had a jade slip too. Was it a part of it as well? Thinking about this, Emo said to Renfu, immortal friend Ren, can I have a look at the map? Of course. Renfu gave the jade slip to Emo without hesitation. Emo looked at the map and realized that his piece could fit perfectly with hers, but even so, there were still many missing parts. Emo looked at Hey Warren. He was staring at Renfu's map with fiery eyes. Emo realized that his map might be a part too. Emo gave the jade slip back to Renfu and said, we'll do it this way. We can work together to find the treasure, and after finding it, we'll split it in 3 parts. How about it? You didn't take out anything. What right do you have to get a third? We can go find the treasure together, but I can only agree to splitting things in half. I have half and you 4 have half. Hey Warren glared at Emo coldly. Renfu looked at Emo in confusion. She felt Emo was asking for too much as well. Emo was only a great extreme immortal, and she didn't mean to split evenly with Emo just because she said to bring him there. Emo took out a jade slip and said, because I have a part of the map too, do I not deserve a third? Huh. The two were dazed. What, you don't believe I have this? Seeing the 2 days, Emo raised his jade slip. What, you don't believe I have this? Seeing the 2 days, Emo raised his jade slip. Renfu breathed and said, immortal friend, ye came to immortal graveyard range and possesses a map piece, I believe you. Hey Warren scanned Emo's jade slip and said, regardless of authenticity, everyone put their jade slip in the middle and open the restriction. Then we'll all scan it and mark their own complete map. Then Hey Warren threw his jade slip out first. He looked at Emo coldly. If someone dares to use fake jade slip to trick me, don't blame me for what happens. Emo ignored the threat and threw his jade slip out after his spirit sense scanned that Hey Warren's map was real. Seeing this, Run Fu threw the jade slip in the middle too. They immediately marked the map into their own jade slips. Moments later, Hey Warren put away his jade slip and said, "The three pieces together isn't the whole map. It seems to be missing a corner." Emo put away his map and said nothing. The map was indeed missing a corner. Renfu looked worriedly at Emo. Hey Warren put away his jade slip quickly. She could only barely finish. Some parts were blurry. She was speechless. She didn't know Hey Warren was this bleak. She should have just marked hers and borrow Emo's later. Emo was a great extreme immortal, and his spirit sense must be lacking. The three pieces definitely wasn't fused together. Emo sneered. He knew what Hey Warren did, of course, but in actual fact, he had combined the three pieces together before he even threw his out. He had seen Ren Fu's map and scanned Hey Warren's map as soon as he threw it out. Emo used less than 1/10 of a second to complete the map, but Hey Warren used 2 seconds. Emo guessed that Ren Fu probably didn't finish. He borrowed hers to look at. If she asked the same thing, he wouldn't hesitate. "We have confirmed this map to be real. Now everyone has a copy. The map is missing a corner, but we should be able to find it. We'll split the treasure into thirds. What do you think?" Hey Warren said. Now wasn't the time to deal with these two. He would find the treasure first. "I'm fine with it," Renfu said. "Same," Emo said. Hey Warren nodded happily. "In this case, let's go." Then he took the great extreme immortal and flew off. Renfu then said, "Run Fu, thank immortal friend Yi for saving my life." She then pointed at the young girl and the handsome male. "This is my niece Renli Jean." And Chu-Chi, she didn't say who Chu-Chi was, but Emo wasn't going to ask. Renli Jean's arm was attached. She walked up to Emo with red eyes and bowed. "Li Jean, thank Brother Yi for saving my life." Chu-Chi also came over and saluted with his fists. If Emo didn't appear, Renli Jean would be in a worse state. If they didn't run, they would eventually die too. Emo knew Renli Jean's feeling. Any young girl would feel dejected after her clothes were torn off and her private area seen by stranger. Emo didn't want to mention it and changed the topic. No need to mention such minor things. Hey Warren had left. Let's chase up. The three map pieces were indeed clearer after combined. The missing part was about the interior of the treasure. It didn't affect the routes outside. Hey Warren was very fast, and in just 2 hours, he found a very hidden stealth formation. From the map, this formation should be the entrance. The four followed behind Hey Warren and didn't feel the route was wrong. "Sigh, we used countless years and only secured 100,000 km radius, but now that the three pieces combined, we instantly found the entrance," Renfu sighed. Emo smiled. "If you didn't secure the radius, we wouldn't be able to find here so quickly." "Really? In that case, then you guys take me in here. There's a stealth formation here. How come I can't find the entrance?" Hey Warren scorned. He believed his piece was the most complete. Seeing them say nothing, Hey Warren sneered. "Since you can't find it, then I will. But I need to say this beforehand. If I find the entrance first, I get first choice on the treasure." Emo, who couldn't even be bothered talking, suddenly said, "Hey Warren, you mean that if I'm the first to find the entrance, then I get first share when we split things?" "Of course, whoever finds it first can get first choice, but you can't break the stealth restriction here with force. Otherwise, the things in here would be revealed." Hey Warren said in contempt. "Then is it first choice for everything, or just once?" Emo asked again. Renfu knew she couldn't find the stealth restriction quickly, so she said, "Just once." Emo knew what she thought and nodded. Then he threw out a few formation flags. With this, an obscure entrance appeared before them before eventually forming into a stone door. "You're an immortal formation, Great Master?" Renfu asked in shock. Hey Warren also looked at Emo in disbelief. He could find the entrance, but not as easy as Emo. "Let's go." Emo walked in first. Seeing this, the rest of them all followed. Just when Renfu wanted to ask how to hide their entrance, Emo waved his hand and took the formation flags. Then, the entrance disappeared. Renfu felt vigilant seeing this, feeling Emo wasn't ordinary. No one knew that Yemo threw out 8 flags, but only took back 7. The stone entrance door was very simple. After going in, there was a platform. Under the platform were coarse steps. This place was indeed set up in a rush. After coming in, the Inchi immediately disappeared. Clearly there were formations here to block it. Yemo knew no one would attack his disciple here, so he went down the stairs first. Renfu followed closely. Yemo was last. Before going down, Yemo had scanned his spirit sense out. There was spirit sense barrier here, but he broke it easily with his spirit sense blades. He saw there was a skeleton below the stairs. As soon as Warren went down, an immense pressure came. That pressure almost suppressed all the space nearby. Warren knew things weren't good and quickly released a huge bell. Renfu also released her defense magic artifact. Only Yemo did nothing. Clank, clank, clank. It was like raining hail as countless things hit the bell. Yemo was amazed. That thing attacked too fast. Even he didn't see what struck the bell. Renfu quickly took a few steps back. Luckily, the ambush focused the first person, and she only took some pressure. Now, they both saw the skeleton on the ground and realized that this skeleton found here first but was ambushed. Warren was scared, sweating, but he knew he survived. He then reached out and picked up a jade slip on the floor. At the same time, Renfu took the skeleton's storage ring while Yemo casually took a hexagonal black card. At this time, the 3 people behind him came. Warren didn't care. His spirit sense scanned that jade slip and he rejoiced. This jade slip was the last part of the map. Now, he had the complete map. At this time, the 3 people behind him came. Warren didn't care. His spirit sense scanned that jade slip and he rejoiced. This jade slip was the last part of the map. Now, he had the complete map. Renfu thought the same. She found she had 200 million more immortal crystals in her storage ring and an extreme-grade immortal artifact. She saw what Warren did, but even if he got the 4th part of the map, she didn't care. They were all working together now. Warren had no right to search for treasure alone. Seeing Yemo still act like nothing had happened, she felt Yemo's experience was too little. Warren thought the same, but he didn't care about a storage ring. He cared about the entire immortal treasure. When Renfu subconsciously looked at Yemo, she realized that Yemo had a frown. She asked, "Immortal friend Yi, did you notice something?" Yemo was shook and quickly said, "Nothing, I just feel a bit weird." Renfu was confused but said nothing. The group walked past the skeleton for about tens of meters before saying another restriction stone door. "It should be here," Warren said. "Master, are we going to break this door open by force?" The Great Extreme Immortal asked. Yemo sneered, "Idiot. If you attack with force, this door would immediately disappear. This is just a transition formation." The Great Extreme Immortal's face changed, but he didn't dare to speak since his master said nothing. Warren's face was bad, but he didn't rage. He asked, "What do you think we should do, immortal friend Yi? If I say it, do I get an extra share?" Yemo asked calmly. Warren sneered, "Do you want to act against our arrangement? We agreed to split 3 ways evenly. What's the meaning of you asking for more now?" Renfu said nothing. She felt Yemo shouldn't be asking for this now. But unexpectedly, Yemo saluted with his fists. "Haha, I forgot about this. Sorry. Even Warren looked at Yemo in confusion. He felt Yemo wasn't someone easy to talk to, but now he's so easy to talk to, and apologized. "I'll open this door restriction." Yemo threw out 4 more formation flags. Then the door made ripple like waves before 4 rinks appeared. Yemo pointed at the 4 rinks. "There should be 4 pieces to the map. There's 4 rinks here. It should be done if we put the pieces in." Warren frowned, "But we only have 3 pieces. Yemo interrupted him immediately. "Really? How come I saw you take a jade slip before?" Hearing this, Warren's face changed. He wasn't certain if Renfu noticed it, but he was certain Yemo didn't see it. If Renfu mentioned this, he would say Renfu got a storage ring. But unexpectedly, Yemo brought this up. Did the 2 communicate, or did Yemo really notice? Yemo said coldly, "I found a jade slip indeed, but that's what I found. According to the arrangement before, 1 jade slip for a share. If I have 2 shares, then I will take out the jade slip. Otherwise, why should I take out 2 jade slips?" Yemo said calmly, using what you just said. Do you want to act against the arrangement? We agreed to splitting 3 ways evenly. What's the meaning of this? If I do something, it's free. If you do something, you need to get paid? Now, Renfu realized that Yemo had long saw Warren pick up the 4th jade slip. Renfu suddenly shivered. She wasn't certain if Yemo saw her picking up a storage ring. Was Yemo really a great extreme immortal? Warren seemed to be played every single step, much less her. Thinking about this, Renfu decided to avoid Warren and split half the immortal crystals with Yemo. As for that extreme-grade immortal artifact, she would keep it herself. Plus, we already settled things outside. If you really don't agree, I'm going to attack the door. Yemo said. You? Warren had nothing to say to that, but he immediately found something else. Okay, then in that case, how come I saw Rengoddess pick up a storage ring? Renfu's face froze and then immediately took out a storage ring. That's right. It's here. If you want it, then take it. I don't want it. Yemo scanned with his spirit sense and knew it wasn't the same one she picked up. She had seen what was inside. Only the extreme-grade immortal artifact was valuable, but for an immortal forgery Grand Master, it was only so-so. Warren's face was very bad. He was certain this wasn't the same storage ring, but he had no evidence. Seeing the 4 rings, Warren thought for a while and smiled. In that case, we'll do what we agreed on before. I'll lose out a bit. Sometimes that's not a bad thing. Then, he threw his 2 jade slips in the ring. Renfu's spirit sense immediately chased over, but saw nothing. The jade slips were gone. Her face didn't look so good, but she still put in her jade slip. When Yemo threw out his 1-2, the ripple restriction on the door disappeared. A grand and ancient chi came into their face. It was as though if they entered this door, they would see everything in the ancient times. This isn't the immortal treasure. Renfu's face changed immediately and realized this place was no immortal treasure. It was an ancient rune. It's an ancient rune? Even Warren dazed upon seeing this, and then he rejoiced. Without a map, it was very hard to get around ancient ruins. Only he had the complete map. Yemo immediately realized, perhaps that the immortal king was finding a place to hide his treasure and accidentally found this ancient rune. Then, he used it to hide his treasure. Of course, it was also possible that the immortal king had this ruin map and found here. The first stone door and those core steps were set up by that immortal king, but the restriction stone doors were a part of the real ancient ruin. We don't have map. Can we join up and kill Warren? Renfu asked Yemo. Before Yemo answered, Warren seemed to have noticed something and took the great extreme immortal in. As soon as they did, Yemo's spirit sense couldn't find them. Sigh. He noticed it. Renfu sighed. Yemo shook his head. There might be nothing here. It's probably a ruin that was dug up before, but was just used by that immortal king. If we're lucky, we might be able to find the immortal king's treasure. He left a formation flag outside because he knew that it wasn't just Warren here. Even if Warren didn't run, Yemo wouldn't gain up on him. Renfu said in disappointment, it should be so. I got a storage ring before. There's some immortal crystals. I'll share some with you. Then, Renfu gave Yemo a storage ring filled with 100 million immortal crystals. Yemo took it. Then he gave a jade slip to Renfu. This is the map of the 4 pieces combined. You can have a share too. Once we go in, we'll rely on our own fortunes. Renfu took the map in joy. She never expected Yemo to have the entire map. It seemed he not only saw the 4th jade slip and marked it too. Chapter 1745. Void Kill Again. Chapter 1745. Void Kill Again. If Renfu didn't give him the 100 million immortal crystals, Yemo wasn't going to give her the map for free. To Yemo, the map was precious, but Warren already knows. Plus, Yemo felt people had been to this ruin, so there probably wasn't anything good left. However, that hexagonal card gave Yemo some anticipation. The card wasn't put into the storage ring, meaning that it had equal importance as the map jade slip. Thank you, immortal friend Yi. Good luck to you. Then Renfu took Chu Chi and Li Jin and entered the door. Now, Yemo was the only one here. Yemo seemed desperate and quickly entered the door too. Then, he disappeared. It's an ancient ruin, lucky. This pure luck. These 4 bastards dares to split things with my brother. They're asking to die. As soon as EMO disappeared, this voice sounded. It was a pale-faced man. He was dressed in white and his hair was white too. He was the exact opposite of Hay Warren. Then, he walked towards that stone door without hesitation. Just when he made half a step, he immediately noticed things weren't good. There was this terrifying feeling. He didn't even have the chance to release his magic artifact, and he felt the space around him completely change. It became fierce and grand, and killed with killing intent. Rumble. There was nothing material, but the space kept making this terrifying explosion sound. In this explosion, space went chaotic. Even Spirit Sense couldn't see anything. Moments later, bloody mist sprayed in the air, and it gradually recovered. A man with half a body appeared in this space. At the same time, EMO appeared before him, but now there was a purple sword in his hand. It was EMO who ambushed this man. It seemed like he went into the door, but instead, he stealthed himself on the side. He left a formation flag outside. He noticed it as soon as this man came. "You dare to ambush me?" The white man's face was hideous. A white flashy bone had appeared in his hand. It gave EMO a strange feeling, as though there was endless power contained in it. "Die." The white man released the bone in his hand. Bleak killing chi filled the space. It seemed that against such killing force, EMO would be killed no matter where he ran. EMO was shocked. He was certain this person was by Warren. He didn't expect this guy to be alive after ambushing him and still have the power to retaliate. If he gained up on Hay Warren before, and this by Warren came, Renfu and them would be in a dire situation. EMO had the confidence to stop by Warren, but Renfu and them wouldn't be able to stop Hay Warren. Although Renfu was also half a mortal king, her power was quite weaker than Hay Warren. He knew that the reason the two didn't jump out together at the start was for fearing that he crushed the Jade Slip. But now there was just a by Warren. Zissou splashed the skies with purple light and hacked open the killing chi-filled space. Sword God Art Rainbow. The sword ray instantly turned to countless rainbow sword rays, and the killing chi by Warren started up were instantly melted. In a short time, they completely disappeared. Seeing this, there was extreme shock on by Warren's face. He completely realized that even if EMO didn't ambush him, he wouldn't have it easy with EMO. This powerful sword force meant that EMO was on par with him. Realizing this, by Warren regretted that he didn't run when he was ambushed. However, he still had time to run. Crack. There was a terrifying cracking sound when Zissou hit the white bone. By Warren couldn't care about his magic artifact. He instantly released a rune. EMO wasn't going to give him the time to do this and punched. Void. This fist seemed to have come from the void. Void annihilation. No annihilation, no return. All the remnant killing force and the rainbow sword ray in the air were taken away by this punch, forming a huge killing force whirlpool. By Warren was caught in this killing force whirlpool and was extremely shocked. He completely didn't understand how a great extreme immortal could be this insane. He was halfway immortal king. Even though he was ambushed, he shouldn't be suppressed like this. Even his rune was caught by the whirlpool. This was space law. Have mercy. By Warren could only say this and was churned by the space-killing force. EMO reached out his hand, and a white storage ring flew in as well as that bone magic artifact. The bone magic artifact had this death annihilation chi. Clearly it wasn't ordinary. EMO just put on a few restriction and threw it into his storage ring. He was more interested how many good things were in by Warren's storage ring. When EMO broke the restriction and scanned his spirit sense in, he was dazed. This was the first time he had seen such a wealthy storage ring. Even how Heaven Grand Emperor's small world didn't surprise him this much. There were at least 1 billion immortal crystals piled up. They were like huge mountains. This wasn't even by Warren's main fortune. He had 20 immortal crystals cards, and each had 100 million. This meant that by Warren had 3 billion immortal crystals. On top of that, there were immortal spirit herb and forgery materials piled up in mountains. He had 8 extreme-grade immortal artifact and countless more pills and lower-grade ones. Just how many did this bastard rob? He was too wealthy. EMO immediately thought of Hay Warren. If by Warren had this many good things, how many would Hay Warren have? Thinking about this, he even wanted to fight with Hay Warren. After his joy, Emo put away the storage ring and formation flags and opened the restriction stone door. Emo just entered the door and heard a few cracks. Then he saw 4 jade slips on the back of the door. He didn't expect them to fall. Emo picked them up and found them to be the same before they threw them into the rink. Emo just realized that they needed the jade slips to go out. Even if Warren got things, he wouldn't be able to get away as long as the jade slips were in his hands. Thinking about this, Emo rejoiced. It seemed they needed to meet again. That guy was unlucky. Emo looked around. It was barren wilderness everywhere. There were endless hills and dead trees everywhere. Dried-up riverbed had spiderweb like cracks spread all over it. Emo reached his spirit sense out and was immediately blocked. Even his eyes and could only see about tens of meters. Emo didn't move. He soon noticed something wrong. These endless hills and spider webs seemed to have some pattern to them. Those dead trees didn't seem to grow casually. Emo took out the map and immediately realized that the scene was correspondent to the map. A moment later, Emo put away his jade slip. He had a very clear route. Although they had the same map and came from the same way, but the route formed in their brain might be different. Emo flew into the dried river and rushed into the depth of the ruin. Not right. Warren suddenly stopped. What's wrong, Master? The great extreme immortal asked respectfully. The routes should be born based on people's sea of consciousness. The marks I left behind should allow your martial uncle to come here, but after coming in, he wouldn't be able to follow my marks. Warren patted his head. It really is so. What do we do? The great extreme immortal scanned and didn't find the marks they just made. Chapter 1746. Surprise? Chapter 1746. Surprise, Li Jin. Don't take what happened today to heart. Things like this will happen when you come out for trial. You will only have the chance to be independent if you increase your power. Renfu saw her niece was dejected and comforted. Yeah, Li Jin cousin, your talent is so high, you can definitely reach Immortal King in the future. Once you reach Immortal King, I will go with you to kill that bastard, and then we can have our wedding. Chu Chi said. Then, Chu Chi held Ren Li Jin's hand. Getting Chu Chi's comfort, Ren Li Jin felt a little better, but the killing intent in her eyes were dense. Not only was she going to kill that great extreme immortal, but also Warren. Even though she was no match for him, but one day she would be able to kill him. Renfu knew what her niece thought and said Li Jin, Warren and Bai Warren usually appear at the same time. Although I don't know why Bai Warren didn't come today, but you must not go attack Warren. Even if you do, you must go with Chu Chi and your power must be higher than him. My cultivation level is almost the same as Warren, but I'm far from a match for him. Plus, that Bai Warren wouldn't be weaker than Warren. The three fell silent. The three gained up on Warren, but Warren still subjugated Ren Li Jin first. If Emo didn't come, she would be in a worse situation. Who is Emo? Warren seemed to be concerned with him. Ren Li Jin asked in confusion. Not only Warren, but I feel concerned with him too. I think Warren probably suspects that Emo hid his power. Otherwise, how could a great extreme immortal not fear us great eternity immortals at all? This great extreme immortal not only has Shadowless Worm, but is also an immortal formation great master. This is also strange. Renfu said. Chu Chi nodded. This person is not bad. We helped him once and he helped Li Jin, but I suspect he didn't hide his power. He can probably kill people above his level like Warren. Warren probably guessed this, and that's why he was worried about Emo joining up with us. Chu Chi is right. From how he instantly carved the entire map, he's probably stronger than me. I suspect he already knows what I got from the storage ring. Regardless, Emo is no ordinary person, and he helped us. Even if he didn't, you guys need to treat him with respect. Renfu said seriously. Chu Chi said, what I don't understand is, since Emo could carve down the jade slip, he clearly knew about it. Why did he not touch the storage ring nor the jade slip? Renfu fell silent. The only explanation was that Emo found something better, but even she didn't see what it was. It's that bastard. I'm going to kill him. Ren Li Jin suddenly roared. Renfu and Chu Chi saw that great extreme immortal coming back, but they didn't see Warren. Renfu immediately nodded. Kill him? The great extreme immortal was focused on going, but when the three saw him, He also saw the three. He was a mere great extreme immortal. How did he dare to go upon seeing three great eternity immortal? Instantly he changed a direction and ran. Before he could move, a terrifying space-tearing force tore him to pieces. Seeing this great extreme immortal just disappear, the three sweated cold on their back. They knew they could only go along the route formed in their brain, but the consequence of not following it was too terrifying. After walking for half a day, Emo found that this place was filled with mountains and immortal spirit herb mountains that had been excavated. He suspected that this place used to be a trial ground. A 10-meter-tall immortal spirit beast carcass suddenly blocked his road. Emo stopped. A terrifying power came from this body, making Emo retreat a few steps subconsciously. In this barren and wild place, Emo felt this strange sense of suppression. It made his mind worry, and this tall, immortal spirit beast body made him feel like the sky was collapsing on him. Such a powerful immortal spirit beast. Emo took in a cold breath in. He had seen level 7 immortal spirit beast in the 7 refined tower. But this immortal spirit beast that was dead for countless years gave Emo a more powerful feeling. This body was much smaller than that level 7 immortal spirit beast, but Emo felt this immortal spirit beast might even be a level 9 immortal spirit beast. Thinking about this, Emo was shocked. Level 9 immortal spirit beast was equivalent to immortal emperor. If this was really so, he would be earning big. Emo just wanted to send the body into his golden page world when he saw a faint golden light come out from the body. Immortal spirit beast core? Emo instantly realized. He held down his excitement and took the fist-sized immortal spirit beast core. The pressure of the immortal spirit beast was mostly from this immortal spirit beast core. It was powerful, but it couldn't attack. Emo was immortal spirit body and great extreme immortal peak stage, and thus could take the pressure. Emo knew that just this beast core was invaluable. There were many means for immortal monarch to break through to immortal emperor, but very little could succeed. It could be said that only 1% of the means would succeed, and not everyone might be able to use it. Emperor Start Pill was a mean everyone could use. The main ingredient was a level 9 immortal spirit beast core. Level 9 immortal spirit beast were extremely rare in immortal realm. They usually took humanoid form too. They were equivalent to a real immortal emperor. Who would dare to touch immortal Emperor Danteon? This was unimaginable luck that Emo found a level 9 immortal spirit beast core. He put it in a jade box and placed restrictions before sending into the golden page world. Emo wasn't interested in the body of this immortal spirit beast. Its bones were top-grade forgery materials, but nothing compared to the beast core. Emo dug a place on the spot and buried the body. Level 9 immortal spirit beast were very respected in the immortal realm. If he didn't get the immortal spirit beast core, he would bring this body out for immortal crystals, but since he got the immortal spirit beast core, he would bury it in return. 4 hours later, Emo stopped again. A huge black palace appeared before him again. The doors were tightly shut, and there was a hexagonal rink in the middle. Emo immediately thought of that hexagonal card he got. He took it out immediately. Emo put the card in. Creak. The door seemed to have not been opened for a long time. A sorts of chi came out, each one representing an immortal artifact or treasure. Emo just stared at the center of the palace. There was a dark red stone derelict in the center. It was about 3 meters wide. It was that stone that made Emo's heart skip. He finally realized what the extreme-grade forgery material Kai Feng, Immortal King, talked about was. Emo didn't know how Kai Feng knew there was this or here, but he knew this or. It was refined star rock that wasn't in the 33 heavens. It sounds ordinary, but it's very extraordinary. It could be compared with star core flame, as it's also obtained from refining a planet. If you wanted to obtain the refined star rock, you needed to refine a large planet. Even Emo suspected if this was real. How many planets would be refined to get a refined star rock this big? Even a divine emperor wouldn't do something this boring. Regardless, Emo had decided to take it into his golden page world first. You really found the key to the palace. Hey, Warren's shaky voice sounded. It was extreme joy. Chapter 1747. Buddhist God Art. Chapter 1747. Buddhist God Art. Emo already noticed Hei Wuren when he came. Before Hei Wuren could attack, Emo went into the palace first and wanted to put the refined star rock into his storage ring. What confused Emo was that the refined star rock didn't move at all. Haha, you want to put refined star rock into your storage ring? Do you think your storage ring is half-god artifact? Hei Wuren laughed and entered the palace. Emo frowned and stopped trying. According to Hei Wuren, it required half-god artifact or above storage ring to store. Although he could put it in his golden page world, but he didn't do so. He wasn't scared of Hei Wuren, but he was certain he could keep Hei Wuren here. If Hei Wuren got away, news of him owning half-god artifact would spill. You probably don't want to see me the most now, right? Haha, I underestimated you. You actually got the key to this palace. Answer my question, and you can kill yourself. I'll allow you to go into reincarnation. Hei Wuren glanced at Emo contemptuously. To him, no matter how strong Emo was, he was no watch if he didn't have Renfu and them to help. Emo raised his hand, and Zisu was in his hand. Then he said, "Actually, I really want to see you. Do you believe me?" There was a cruel smile on Hei Wuren's lips, but he didn't attack and asked, "My only confusion is how did you get here? You need to get 4 parts of the map. How did you get here? If I tell you, will you not hurt me?" Emo asked plainly. "Keep dreaming." Hei Wuren sneered. "Then stop farting and fight," Emo said and attacked. Hei Wuren saw that Emo dared to initiate the attack and was furious. A golden crack appeared out of nowhere as though it had always been here. Then, there was Buddhist chants in the palace like huge hammers that smashed in Emo's sea of consciousness. This spirit sense knocking almost made Emo spit a mouthful of blood. He immediately expanded his spirit sense domain and severed the Buddhist chants. This wasn't a spirit sense cultivation method, but was much more powerful than ordinary spirit sense cultivation method. If he didn't have spirit sense domain, he would be heavily injured from that. At the same time, the golden crack landed. It was a 10-meter-long golden staff. This gave Emo a very familiar feeling. At the bottom of the pond in the Chaos Star Realm, he saw a staff and a skeleton. He didn't touch the staff next to it, but he felt the 2 staffs were similar. This murderous, inhumane Hei Wuren actually cultivated authentic Buddhist cultivation method. Even Emo didn't expect this. Zisu's purple light was no weaker than the golden light. Instantly, the purple rainbow clashed with the golden light. Light splashed everywhere, creating space-tearing sounds in the palace. Clank. Zisu and the staff clashed together, creating huge sounds in the palace. Emo's face didn't change. His rainbow god art was only half god art. Hei Wuren was a little stronger than Bai Wuren. He could easily kill Bai Wuren because he ambushed him first, but against Hei Wuren, Emo would need to use other ways to kill him. However, Shadowless was asleep, or Shadowless could ambush him and grab a second of time for him. Hei Wuren's face changed. Although he released his staff casually, it was a Buddhist god art, Brahma Sound Gold Shatter. When the Brahma Sound entered the sea of consciousness, his golden staff could easily tear the opponent in half, but now, Emo easily stopped it and didn't seem to break sweat at all. You hid your power? Hei Wuren felt a great extreme immortal would definitely not be able to stop this move. Emo released Zisu again, Illusion Cloud Division Strike. He wanted to kill Hei Wuren quickly, just like what Hei Wuren wanted to do to him. His sword ray split rapidly and in the blink of an eye. Before the Brahma Sound dissipated, the palace was covered in Emo's purple sword rays again. At the same time, Emo punched. All the sword rays suddenly spun. It was as though the entire palace was spinning due to Emo's punch. A terrifying grand killing intent surrounded the palace and swept over at Hei Wuren. Hei Wuren couldn't handle the shock in his heart anymore. He thought that move was Emo's biggest killing blow, but this punch was about to tear open the void. Perhaps if Emo wasn't limited by his cultivation level, this punch would have torn open the void. Hei Wuren didn't dare to hold back. He released a golden futon and shot out hundreds of hand signs. The golden futon formed golden ripples around him. With each hand sign, the ripple would expand a little. The golden ripples grew larger and larger in the void, and wave after wave. Every time Emo's void-killing force was stopped by the ripple, it would slow a little. Emo's heart sunk. He hadn't fought with Immortal King, but it didn't mean he knew nothing. This futon with Warren's hand signs for the basic Immortal King domain. The Immortal King was so powerful because they were like truth realization state in the cultivation realm. They could completely expand their domain. Immortal King's domain was called Immortal King domain. The space in the immortal realm was stable, so it was too hard to form one's own domain. Even the most powerful Great Eternity Immortal could only bind space nearby with his immortal essence, but this wasn't domain. This was like Yemo's sword domain and spirit sense domain. Yemo was an expert in domain knowledge, but his cultivation level prevented him from forming his own domain in the immortal realm. When Great Eternity Immortal broke through to Immortal King, it was a qualitative chance. This change was forming domain. It was much more powerful than his spirit sense domain. Spirit sense domain would only work below Immortal King. Perhaps it was more agile and fluent, but it was far weaker than an Immortal King domain. But Warren used this futon to form his domain. Yemo knew if Warren's domain enveloped him completely, he wouldn't be able to retaliate. Yemo really wanted to use World Rock and give this guy a timeout and crush, but Yemo knew that the Goddard used too much power. If timeout and crush couldn't kill Warren, he would be at a definite disadvantage. Yemo sighed. He learned quite some God art, but his cultivation level was too low. The more powerful the God art, the more immortal essence and spirit sense it required. If he used all his God arts together, Warren would be dead. But Yemo knew to be able to use many God arts at the same time, he would have to be at least Great Eternity Immortal Tertiary stage. Rumble. Void killing force clashed with the golden futon again. The terrifying sound almost flipped the palace. The ripple also started to cripple. After all, this wasn't Warren's own domain. He used the futon to set it up. The division sword rays also became messy and scattered everywhere. Tens of sword ray had sliced open Warren's clothes and created some blood. Some of the golden light struck Yemo, but Yemo was completely fine. Yemo's immortal spirit body prevented any injuries. Warren's face was worse. Clearly, Yemo's punch was far more terrifying than that strike. For the first time, Warren felt fear. His fake Immortal King domain was also very taxing on spirit sense and immortal essence. But then, the fear was instantly swept away. If he didn't want news of him having Buddhist cultivation method to spill, he would have to kill Yemo die. He burned his immortal essence and attacked even faster. His futon shot out denser and greater ripples while his golden staff turned into a tidal wave of golden color at Yemo. Chapter 1748. Punch of Destruction. Chapter 1748. Punch of Destruction. There were denser and faster Brahma sounds, as though they were going to tear at Yemo's sea of consciousness constantly. However, they were stopped by Yemo's spirit sense domain. Yemo knew this was Warren attacking at full power. Victory or defeat depended on this move. He was also certain that if Warren couldn't kill him with this move, he would leave. Realizing this, Yemo didn't hold back. There was not a third person here. He released World Rock, but this wasn't God art. He knew he couldn't use two God arts at the same time now. The World Rock, covered by void secret silver, suddenly smashed down like a huge mountain into that golden sea. The pouring golden sea immediately slowly after being blocked by the World Rock. The golden color retreated and the Brahma sounds weakened. Warren was more and more shocked. He didn't expect Yemo to have this small mountain-like magic artifact. No wonder he wasn't afraid of him nor Renfu, and wanted to take a part of the immortal treasure. Realizing Yemo's terror, Warren wanted to kill Yemo even more. He burned Heisai immortal essence like crazy, and the Immortal King domain spread rapidly. In just another second, his Immortal King domain would sweep Yemo in. Then, Yemo would be on the chopping block. How could Yemo let himself get in the Immortal King domain? He sent out tens of spirit sense blades and punched a second time. Wave kill. Rumble. A 10-meter tall, 100-meter wide blue flame wave rose into the air and instantly formed a firewall as it collided into Warren's golden futon. Sizzle. The blue flame easily crippled the golden ripples and charged at Warren, but this was the end. A second, even more terrifying blue wave filled the palace and also pressed towards Hay Warren. The first wave of flame quenched Hay Warren's domain and instantly came before Hay Warren. The intense scorch made him no longer able to suppress his terror. If he knew Yemo had such a powerful punch, he would rather run away immediately. But now, it was too late. He could only block it. Hay Warren suppressed the horror in his heart. The golden futon turned into a huge golden round shield blocking in front of him. Rumble. The fire smashed the golden futon, and the golden futon immediately dimmed down. In the turn of an eye, it became black. Hay Warren's body was full of a burnt smell. He successfully blocked Yemo's first fire wave, but before he could get away, the second one came. The second wave burned the futon like paper. Blue like morning sky. Immortal flame god art. Hay Warren spat these words and was devoured the flame. Yemo spat a mouthful of blood and flew back, sitting on the ground. His wave kill punch could punch out 3 waves of flame and sweep all the killing force of the void over, making the opponent unable to attack. But now, he only used 2 waves and collapsed to the ground. He didn't even punch out the killing force of the fist. It could be said he only released a third of the real power of wave kill. Yemo's body was deprived of immortal essence. His spirit sense was extremely depleted. If a hollow immortal came now, he might not be able to beat him. Yemo ate a few pills. This situation occurred because he didn't know that blue like morning sky and wave kill combined would cost this much after blue like morning sky reached immortal flame. This meant that if wave kill was used, he would wait to be killed if it couldn't kill. This meant that even in his prime state, he wouldn't be able to use the entire wave kill with blue like morning sky. He would have to reach great eternity immortal. Even so, he wouldn't be able to use it easily. If he used it, he would be weakened to the extreme. The pills immediately turned to immortal essence, and Yemo recovered a little. He looked forward at the chart area. There was only a golden staff on the side. Nothing else. Yemo sighed. Hay Warren definitely had more things than by Warren, but he couldn't control wave kill. Wave kill destroyed the storage ring too. After recovering some immortal essence, Yemo immediately put that refined star rock into the golden page world as well as the golden staff. Yemo just realized that the battle caused nearly all the storage ring here to explode. These storage ring were clearly collected by that immortal king at the battlefield. He never came back after placing them here. Most of the things inside the broken storage ring were destroyed. Only some spare immortal crystals remain and some immortal artifacts. There were from low-grade to extreme-grade immortal artifacts. They were stacked up in piles. Yemo shook his head. It was too much of a pity. Yemo found 10 uncracked storage ring and found it was just some immortal artifact and immortal crystals and ordinary level forgery materials. Clearly, these storage ring had been harvested once already. Yemo then studied this palace and confirmed these was nothing else but the refined star rock. There was some slight space ripples from outside the palace. Yemo immediately knew that Renfu and them were here. Yemo didn't want to see them now. There was nothing else attracting him in the palace, so he left the palace without hesitation. Yemo just left the palace and 3 figures landed, just where Yemo stood. It was clearly Renfu in them. Onifu, this doesn't seem right. Someone seemed to have just fought here, Renli Jean said. She felt much better after killing that great extreme immortal. Ren Elijin walked inside carefully and immediately, they found countless broken magic artifact and storage ring. This is the immortal treasure, but these storage ring seem to have been destroyed by the battle. Tens of thousands of them were destroyed. This is such a pity. Renfu said. Chu Chi said Onifu. Would it be caused by Yemo and Hay Warren fighting? The temperature here is very high. There seems to be a fire element. Hay Warren isn't fire element. If Yemo is fighting, then he's probably fire element. Huh? Renli Jean opened her mouth wide in shock for a while before saying, he only seems to be great extreme immortal. Even if he hid his power, he can't be a match for Hay Warren, right? Renfu shook her head. This is hard to say. Yemo is very mysterious and both of them aren't here. Regardless, we should hurry up and take what we can and leave. Yemo used less than half the time to come back to the restriction stone door. But Yemo didn't go out. He threw the 4 jade slips on the door and let the stone door open before hiding on the side. A day later, 3 figures acme here rapidly. Yemo saw they were Renfu in them. They all had a joyful face. Clearly they were happy with what they got at the palace. The 3 didn't even think and left the door. Yemo waited for another 2 hours before leaving the door too. He scanned his spirit sense out and found the 3 had left indeed. Yemo stood at the door to the restriction. He waited for the 4 jade slips to fall. Chapter 1749. One's person's ruin. Chapter 1749. One's person's ruin, but soon, Yemo was disappointed. He waited for 5 minutes, but nothing came off. Yemo shook his head in disappointment. He was planning to use Zisu to smash the door. The reason he was going to do this was because he didn't want other people to come in. Yemo felt there were more things in this ancient ruin, but he just didn't find them yet. Plus, he didn't want Renfu bringing more people here. Thud. Yemo didn't attack with full power, but when Zisu struck the stone door, it immediately sprouted some ripples. Yemo felt that the position he was at was spinning. He really wanted to check with spirit sense, but he couldn't see anything around him. This was indeed space transition formation, but it was a bit different than he had thought. Yemo thought that the formation only took the door away, but it also took him too. 10 seconds later, the space nearby stabilized again. Yemo breathed easy. He was prepared to go into the golden page world if something was wrong, but now it didn't seem he need to. Clap clap. When the space stabilized, Yemo found that the 4 jade slips fell down again. Yemo immediately picked them up. It seemed that when the jade slip was attached to the door, the transition formation would take the people nearby with it as well. But if the jade slip wasn't attached to the door, attacking the door would only cause the door to be taken. This way, the stone door would completely disappear. This ancient ruin was so meticulously designed. After getting these 4 jade slips, Yemo was overjoyed. If he didn't have a place to hide, this was the best place. Without the jade slip, no one can open that restriction door no matter how powerful one was. If someone attacked the door by force without the jade slip, the door would immediately be transported to a new place. Yemo scanned his spirit sense out, and he found that there were no coarse stairs outside. The entrance restriction at the Immortal Graveyard Range was gone. He had a formation flag mark at the entrance, but he couldn't even sense it now. To be specific, in front of him was completely undug earth. Yemo wasn't going to dig those stairs. The Immortal King did that so his descendants could find this place, but he didn't need to. Only he needed to know here. This ruin becomes his alone. Yemo came out of the earth and found his position was still in the Immortal Graveyard Range. Yemo expanded his spirit sense domain and checked the nearby surrounding. This place was indeed not where he came in from and was quite far. Renfu and them were gone. He seemed to be the only one left here. In-Chi flowed making ghastly sounds. Yemo didn't stay here. He released Blue Moon and prepared to find a place for divine damnation. But after flying for 5 minutes, Yemo realized that his divine damnation would definitely be heavenly shocking. If he had divine damnation outside the Immortal Graveyard Range, it might startle powerful beings. Meanwhile, there was no one near the Immortal Graveyard Range. Thinking about this, Yemo threw out 500 million immortal crystals without hesitation. He knew he would need quite a bit immortal crystals to break through to Great Eternity Immortal. This place wasn't like the Flame River where he only needed to set up Immortal Spirit Chi Gathering Formation. Luckily he had 3 billion immortal crystals. It was definitely enough. The 500 million immortal crystals were set up into a huge Spirit Gathering Immortal Formation. Then, Yemo added a stealth formation on top of that. When the divine damnation really came, this stealth immortal formation wouldn't help that much. It definitely wouldn't be able to stop Yemo's terrifying immortal spirit chi whirlpool, but for Yemo, even a little bit would help. Yemo had a few bottles of extreme Ja pills. They were all special grade. He ate the pills and ran the 3 birth chant at full power, charging at the bottleneck of Great Eternity Immortal. An invisible barrier formed in Yemo's will. Yemo just had to keep charging at these barriers, the barriers that stopped his breakthrough. It was invisible. For ordinary immortals, even if they want to break through, they would have to sense that barrier. If they can't even touch that barrier with their immortal essence and spirit sense, there was no way they can break it. This was the bottleneck. Sometimes, one wouldn't be able to pass it their entire life. Guillermo cultivated till now, and every time he was at the peak stage of a big state, he could touch the barrier easily. He just needed to charge and break it. This time was the same time. In less than 3 days, his immortal essence swept all of his meridians and passed through his dantian. The great eternity immortal barrier was right before him. Rumble. Guillermo's immortal essence just touched the barrier, and his immortal essence wasn't enough. A heavy crackle sounded in the air. His first wave of divine damnation was about to come. Crack, crack, crack. 36 explosions sounded. 36 bucket-sized lightning bolts rained down at the same time from all directions, striking Guillermo. The Yin-Chi nearby was completely torn apart. Yin-Chi feared lightning, much less such terrifying lightning. With the Yin-Chi fleeing away, the temperature of this place rose up immediately. Guillermo released World Rock and Zissou and blocked 9 of the bolts. The rest of the 27 bolts all fell on Guillermo instantly. Guillermo's clothes turned to dust. Tearing sounds of flesh came. Blood flew all over Guillermo's body. Even though he was a mortal spirit body, he couldn't take the 27 bolts without injury. Guillermo knew these bolts were much stronger than the ones in the Flame River. Thud, thud, thud. Guillermo was smashed into a pit by the lightning bolts. Even though not a single part of his skin was unharmed, Guillermo didn't care. He had experience. The most dangerous part of his divine damnation was the first and second wave. After these 2 waves, the divine damnation wouldn't affect him at all. Guillermo devoured the lightning source like crazy, and the mist formed by a few 100 million immortal crystals all rushed at Guillermo. In the blink of an eye, Guillermo was enveloped by immortal spirit chi. The 500 million immortal crystals kept cracking and turned to dust. At this moment, Guillermo's meridians expanded greatly and devoured all the immortal spirit chi that came. Guillermo's power rose rapidly. His immortal spirit chi was closer to that barrier and even begun charging at it. More and more immortal essence were added by Guillermo charging at the barrier. Crack. The second wave of lightning bolts were here. Guillermo guarded his mind. This second wave was the most dangerous. Seeing 48 thick bolts land, his heart felt heavy. He didn't break through to Great Eternity Immortal. It was really difficult to stop the 48 bolts. Without hesitation, Guillermo released Octagonal Cauldron again and 108 Lightning Sword. Zissou and World Rock blocked 9. Octagonal Cauldron could only block 1. The 108 Lightning Swords could only weaken 9 lightning bolts. In that instant, Guillermo's position was blasted with lightning. Magic artifact chimed, and Guillermo was covered by lightning. Chapter 1750. Level 8 Immortal Artifact. Chapter 1750. Level 8 Immortal Artifact Crack. Guillermo's fake octagonal cauldron crashed with the lightning bolt and instantly split apart into pieces, but the lightning bolt was barely stopped. The lightning swords and lightning bolts clashed too. Lightning exploded, and the nearby space was permeated with lightning. 29 lightning bolts struck Guillermo's body, pushing him deeper into the ground. The instant these bolts hit Guillermo, his immortal essence suddenly surged up and broke open the barrier. Then, the weakened 9 lightning bolts also fell. There was just 2 seconds difference between the first 29 bolts. The terrifying immortal essence needed to break through to Great Eternity Immortal was shown now. Most of the 29 bolts and the 9 weakened bolts were devoured by Guillermo. Guillermo didn't have the time to be happy. He just devoured the immortal spirit chi like crazy. Every divine damnation, if he wasn't killed by it, it would be a feast for him. The immortal crystals in the formation kept cracking as the immortal spirit chi spilled were devoured along with the lightning source by Guillermo. Guillermo's injuries also recovered rapidly. In just 15 minutes, his body had completely recovered. Feeling the immortal spirit chi digesting speed of Great Eternity Immortal, Guillermo rested easy. The second wave had passed, and he reached Great Eternity Immortal. This meant that he didn't have to worry about the next waves of divine damnation. As expected, the later lightning bolts still came more than 10 at once, but it was nothing much but a ticklet for Guillermo. The last immortal crystals on the spirit-gathering immortal formation cracked. Guillermo looked at the sky in disappointment. He reached great eternity immortal, but not a sliver of immortal spirit chi cloud fell. It could only be said that he was lucky he had the immortal spirit chi cloud last time. Perhaps it was due to the location being the endless flame river. Yemo had decided to have his immortal king divine damnation in the void fissure. Perhaps there he would get immortal spirit chi cloud again. His power wasn't very stable yet. Yemo wanted to cultivate for a few days and consolidate his power. However, the immortal crystals had been used up. Yemo didn't take out more immortal crystals to cultivate here. He put away the formation flags and went underground to go into the Golden Page world. In the Golden Page world, Yemo used another 100 million immortal crystals to set up a spirit-gathering immortal formation. He just reached great eternity immortal and his immortal essence was spilling out. This was not good for hiding his cultivation level. Yemo was about to go back to Chongrong heaven. Anyone would be suspicious of him for reaching great eternity immortal from great extreme immortal in a few years. Yemo didn't use time formation disk to consolidate his power. 2 months later, Yemo had completely consolidated his power. There was still 7 months till the time he agreed to meet up with Li Kuan. With the help of the immortal spirit herbs Li Kuan gave him, Yemo reached Immortal Pill Grandmaster, but unfortunately, he didn't have any more level 7 immortal spirit herbs left for pill concoction. With this, Yemo decided to spend his time to study that refined star rock. Even till now, Yemo doubted if it was real. The chi of the rock did seem similar to what was on the books, but it also said these rocks came from refining planets. Sometimes, a huge planets might only get a 30 cultivation method stone. This stone was 3 meters. The refined star rock could only be melted with immortal flame. Under the severing of the blue like morning sky, Yemo found he easily cut open the rock. Yemo's heart sunk. He hadn't used this rock to forge a mortal artifact, but he knew it definitely wouldn't be cut open so easily. This meant that this rock might be fake. Seeing this, his heart was filled with disappointment. Yemo looked carefully at the rock he cut down. It seemed better than Void's secret silver, but not that much better. This meant this was at most level 7 immortal material. In his disappointment, Yemo stopped. He finally got a good material to upgrade Zisu, but under scrutiny, he found it wasn't refined star rock. Yemo was a mortal forgery grandmaster now, and could even Forbidden Grounds level 8 immortal artifact. He really wanted to upgrade Zisu, but if he only had material equivalent to Void's secret silver, then never mind. Just when Yemo wanted to put away the heaven flame, he felt something wasn't right. If this was really only level 7 immortal material, he should be able to put it in his storage ring, but he couldn't before. Thinking about this, Yemo threw the piece he cut off into the storage ring. This time, it was easily taken in. Yemo immediately realized what was going on and kept cutting this stone with blue like morning sky. Many hours later, a 60 centimeters dark red ore appeared before Yemo. This ore had much denser chi than the pieces he cut off before. It had this terrifying and ancient calling. Blue like morning sky couldn't melt this one easily. This was the real refined star rock. Yemo resisted his excitement. Just like his world rock, this refined star rock was covered with something. With this, Yemo had decided to cut half and use it to upgrade Zisu. 3 days later, Yemo could only give up on cutting it in half. He chose to cut a tenth. 6 days later, Yemo gave up a tenth and chose to cut a baby fist-sized. This stone was too hard to cut. 2 months later, Yemo barely melted the fist-sized refined star rock. Yemo took out Zisu. Before he even put the two near each other, Zisu vibrated itself. Clearly, this rock was extremely suitable. Yemo fused the metal-lead refined star rock into Zisu. Zisu immediately began to change, but soon he found something wasn't right. Even with his help, TI was very hard for Zisu to upgrade. He couldn't control the shape, nor could he completely fuse the rock into Zisu. If he couldn't fuse it into Zisu, the chi would be exposed like the blue moon in the cultivation realm when he first added the Kuan scale. In the cultivation realm he could use it, but in the immortal realm Yemo definitely didn't dare to use Zisu in this state. It was probably because his power and flame level were too low. Even his immortal forgery skills were too low. Realizing this, Yemo used his immortal essence like crazy and even started to burn it. He couldn't care about the look of Zissou now. The most important thing was to fuse the refined star rock completely into Zissou. Another 3 months passed. Zissou made a crisp sound and spun above Yimeo's head. Yiemo breathed easy. He finally completely fused the refined star rock into Zissou. Zissou was upgraded to level 8 immortal artifact. The only pity was that the beautiful Zissou was forged into a magic artifact that was uglier than a kitchen knife. It looked like a strange butcher knife. Yiemo shook his head. He didn't even use the pretty Zissou for a while, and it became uglier. At least it was many times stronger than before. Yiemo got up and was ready to go to Changrong Heaven. There was still 2 months left. He could take the teleportation formation, but time was short. But then, Yiemo was at a loss for words. He found he couldn't send Zissou into his storage ring. This meant that he could only put Zissou in the Golden Page world. How could this be? Putting it in the Golden Page world was inconvenient. If people noticed the existence of the Golden Page world, it wasn't good. Helplessly, he could only forge a simple sheath and put Zissou inside and hung the sheath on his back. Chapter 1751. Enemies meet again. Chapter 1751. Enemies meet again in an extremely large room in the Flying Dawn Immortal Tower. At least 10 people were waiting here. Yiemo knew most of them. They included Li Kuan, Ji Shu, In Hui, Qi Baitsong, Jirian, and Li Kuan's martial brother Sii Shiyu. Ethereal Immortal Pawn Ning Yu, and that brother Chun also sat here. There were also a few Yiemo hadn't seen before. The room seemed heavy. After a long while, Ning Yu sighed, "Sister Shiyu, we've waited for 2 days and your brother still isn't here. If we keep waiting, we might miss the immortal ship." Li Kuan fell silent for a moment and said, "I said I would wait for him. If I go now and he comes without seeing me here, he would be worried. How about this? Martial sister Ning Yu will go first. Shiyu goddess can wait for her brother here. If we're short on time, we can go first and make the immortal ship wait for a while first." The handsome man next to Ning Yu said. A few people heard this and immediately nodded in agreement. Li Kuan's face sunk. She said plainly, "Since martial brother Feng Chun is in a rush, you guys can leave first. I'll wait here alone." Qi Baitsong sneered, "Martial brother Feng's influence is really great. Even the immortal ship can listen to you and wait. I admire you." Clearly most people knew that Feng Chun claiming he could make the immortal ship wait was bullshit. The handsome man didn't seem to hear this and still had a face of smile. A purple-robed goddess sitting next to Ning Yu with her face covered said calmly, "Martial sister Ning Yu, we'll wait another half day. If Yiemo still doesn't come, we'll go."
Yes.
Ning Yu and another female immortal immediately nodded. Clearly they were very respectful to her. "Haha, brother Yi is here." Jishu suddenly laughed. Yiemo appeared at the door of the room. He was confused. Li Kuan said to go find Pengyu immortal fruit with him. Why were there so many people? Then, he saw Qi Baitsong and them, and immediately went up to greet them. The atmosphere brightened up, but only Jai Shu and them greeted Yiemo. The rest of them didn't move. These were all great eternity immortal here, and Yiemo was only a great extreme immortal. "I knew you would make it. You broke through again." Li Kuan looked at Yiemo joyfully. She saw Yiemo reach Great Extreme Immortal Middle Stage from Great Extreme Immortal Primary Stage. She was planning to introduce the others to him, but since they couldn't be bothered waiting, she couldn't be bothered. Yiemo showed an awkward look and sound transmission to Li Kuan, "Sister Shiyu, I've actually hidden my power. I've reached Great Eternity Immortal Primary Stage a few years ago, but I've hid my power to Great Extreme Immortal Middle Stage." The room fell silent, and then instantly burst into laughter. Some were benign, some were malicious. The weakest here was Great Eternity Immortal Middle Stage Peak. The rest were either Great Eternity Immortal Tertiary Stage or Halfway Immortal King. Yiemo was a Great Eternity Immortal Primary Stage and still hid his power. This was funny indeed. This wasn't the funniest. The sword on Yemo's back clearly didn't look like something good just looking at the sheath. Yet he put such a sword on his back to show off. Everyone here wasn't simple. They at least had top-grade immortal artifact, or even extreme-grade immortal artifact. Yiemo didn't care about these laughter. If he was willing, people definitely wouldn't be able to hear his sound transmission. He just wanted to reveal his true power, and thus spilled his sound transmission. Li Kuan was very shocked. She knew how powerful Yimo was. Yimo was no weaker than any Great Eternity Immortal Peak stage. She suspected Yimo hid his power, but she knew that if Yimo really wanted to only sound transmission to her, the only explanation was that Yimo did it intentionally. Did Yimo really reach Great Eternity Immortal in 5 years? This was too shocking. Li Kuan was very smart and immediately knew why Yimo did this. She pretended to be unhappy and said, "You're the weakest here. What is there to hide?" Oh, there was extreme embarrassment on Yimo's face. He breathed easy. He knew Li Kuan would be suspicious, but he didn't worry. He trusted his eyes that Li Kuan wouldn't mention it. "Haha, brother Yi, you tricked me so hard. I really thought you were Great Extreme Immortal. So you're actually a Great Eternity Immortal. Your stealth cultivation method is quite good." Jishu laughed. Then, In Hui, Chi Baitsong, Jirian, and them complimented Yi Mo's stealth cultivation method. Jirian said joyfully, "I was wondering why you knew something about Great Eternity Immortal cultivation. So you're Great Eternity Immortal already. Martial brother Yi, I will be troubling you more in the future." Yi Mo quickly said, "It's fine. If I know, I won't keep it a secret." Another reason he revealed his power is because Little Immortal King would definitely know he killed his Great Eternity Immortal Middle Stage henchman. It wasn't rare for Great Eternity Immortal Primary Stage to kill Great Eternity Immortal Middle Stage, but if a Great Extreme Immortal Primary Stage killed a Great Eternity Immortal Middle Stage, this would definitely arouse suspicion. Ning Yu's face was expressionless. Seeing her with the handsome Great Eternity Immortal, Yi Mo knew that Ethereal Immortal Pond probably chose a new saint. Fengchen got up and said, "Since everyone is here, we should hurry up. We'll discuss on the immortal ship." "Where are we going?" Yi Mo asked. Li Kuan smiled and gave Yi Mo a jade card. "This is the card I got for you. Take it. We're taking Immortal Ship to the first heaven domain, Qingwei Heaven, and listen to the arrangements of Immortal Emperor." Seeing Yi Mo being confused, Chi Baitsong patted his shoulder. "Brother Yi, don't underestimate this card. Not anyone can get this. Your sister spent quite some effort to get this." Yi Mo still asked, "Since we're going to Qingwei Heaven, why not take teleportation formation?" Li Kuan explained, "Because we still have mission this time. It would take around 1 year to go to Qingwei Heaven. During this time, all the immortals with the Jade card must capture Void Flying Snow. Only the top 1,000 can get to see Immortal Emperor Master." Yi Mo immediately wasn't too willing to go. Plus, Qingwei Heaven is very far. If we all take teleportation formation there, ordinary immortals won't be able to afford it, Jirian said. Yi Mo nodded. Li Kuan did this for his benefit. If he didn't go, Li Kuan wouldn't be able to decide it even if she got the fruit. Yi Mo thought that when he was Great Extreme Immortal Primary Stage, that middle-aged man still didn't find the Golden Page world. Now he was Great Eternity Immortal. As long as he kept his Golden Page world in the depth of his sea of consciousness, even the Immortal Emperor wouldn't be able to find it. Thinking about this, Yi Mo breathed easy. Everyone went to the teleportation formation to go to Fondue Heaven's Zhakuei Immortal City. The immortal ship was stationed there. Hearing everyone discussion, Yi Mo realized that Qingwei Heaven's position was like Yuanlu Heaven in the Middle Heaven Domain. It was the Num-1 Heaven Domain in the Grand Heaven Domains. It was extremely far from the other 10 Grand Heaven Domains and needed to cross the realm border. This super long-distance teleportation formation is insanely expensive. At the same time, Yi Mo knew the purple-robed female immortal is the new saint of Ethereal Immortal Pond, Mi Yun. Yi Mo had heard of the Fondue Heaven. When he was in the pond in the Chaos Star Realm, the skeleton told him to kill 9 Fan Immortal Ponds Eugene. He rejected it immediately. He was only a golden immortal at the time. There was no way Yi Mo was going to 9 Fan Immortal Pond. He couldn't be bothered asking where it was either. After coming to the Immortal City, Yi Mo followed them to the place where the immortal ship was. When they got there, the place was filled with immortals from other heaven domains. Most of them were Great Eternity Immortal Tertiary Stage. Some were Great Eternity Immortal Middle Stage. "It's you." A cold voice sounded. Yi Mo shook upon hearing this voice. He knew this voice all too well. He turned around and it was the young Yin Jiutian who stood before him. Chapter 1752. Yin Jiutian's Secret. Chapter 1752. Yin Jiutian's secret intense killing intent came from Yin Jiutian. Yimo clenched his fists. He knew why Yin Jiutian wanted to kill him, but what made him feel unacceptable was that Yin Jiutian's cultivation level was higher than his, Great Eternity Immortal Tertiary stage. Yimo was certain he saw right. Yimo bit his lips with a calm face, but his heart was rumbling. No matter how talented Yin Jiutian was, how could he be Great Eternity Immortal Tertiary stage? This was impossible. When he got the time formation disc, that weakened essence spirit said his time formation disc couldn't be found in the immortal realm. If he didn't have time formation disc, where did Yin Jiutian's power come from? Yimo had time formation disc and was constantly looking for resources. His fortunes were very good too. On top of that, he AHD the Golden Page World and Bitter Bamboo. Only then did he reach Great Eternity Immortal Primary stage. This speed was unparalleled, and yet Yin Jiutian was faster than him. Even if Yin Jiutian had the time formation disc and top-grade cultivation resource, he couldn't reach Great Eternity Immortal Tertiary stage. His foundation wasn't stable, nor was his mind state. This was a big taboo for cultivation. There was no way a prodigy like Yin Jiutian didn't know this. You hid power last time like me. I was wondering how there could be an abstruse immortal as powerful as you. Yimo stared at Yin Jiutian and said. Yin Jiutian's eyes shot out with icy coldness and said, I trust one didn't see wrong last time. You definitely didn't hide your power like last time. Your cultivation speed is so fast that I don't dare to believe. I'll tell you this, I didn't hide my power last time as well. Yimo's eyes narrowed. He knew that Yin Jiutian didn't fear at all. Yin Jiutian was certain he didn't dare to spill his secrets. Yimo's killing intent also rose and stared at Yin Jiutian. His killing intent rushed over like crazy too. Did your little worm get crushed to death last time? Yimo felt happy seeing Yin Jiutian's killing intent seep out like crazy. He was certain Yin Jiutian didn't dare to fight here. As expected, Yin Jiutian's face went black hearing this. A dark mist rotated around his wrist. Yin Jiutian seemed to be able to control himself very well. That black mist just spun once and disappeared. Yimo frowned. He suddenly had this strange feeling. He knew that mist was Yin Jiutian's trump card and best magic artifact. But this time when he saw the mist, he had a familiar feeling, not because he fought with it before. Haha, what little worm. Chi Baitsong laughed and stood by Yimo's side. Then he looked challengingly at Yin Jiutian. Chi Baitsong saw Yin Jiutian's killing intent for Yimo. Yin Jiutian sneered. He glanced at Chi Baitsong and said, I hope you're as lucky next time. I will let you know the consequence of taking my things. Then he turned to leave. He knew he couldn't fight here. Kid, you're very cocky. Do you think you're Heaven Domain Heaven Lord or Ancient Divine Emperor? Idiot. You're just a mere Great Eternity Immortal. Why are you so cocky? Chi Baitsong spat. Yin Jiutian was furious. His killing intent went crazy, and that black mist appeared at his wrist again, but he still forbeared this time. Hearing Qi Baitsong's words, Yimo suddenly woke up. He finally remembered that familiar feeling. Yin Jiutian's black mist line had this ancient qi that was similar to the ruin in the immortal graveyard range. This meant that Yin Jiutian's line probably came from the ancient ruin, but when he saw Yin Jiutian, he was only abstruse immortal. What right did an abstruse immortal have to touch ancient ruin? Even if he went there and obtained the black mist, how could he use it so easily and fluently? Yimo saw with his own eyes how Yin Jiutian could change the black mist into spear, arrows, rivers. Yimo had used Zisu for decades, but his control of Zisu was far weaker than Yin Jiutian's control of the black line. Yimo had the feeling that the black line was a part of Yin Jiutian. How old was Yin Jiutian? Yimo was certain that Yin Jiutian was younger than him. How could such a young person have such experience in controlling an ancient black mist? Yimo thought of his first encounter with Yin Jiutian. He called himself immortal. According to what Yimo knew, all immortals below great immortals were considered cultivators and didn't have the right to call themselves immortals. Of course, there were shameless heaven immortals who called themselves immortals. Clearly, Yin Jiutian wasn't this type. Thinking about how young Yin Jiutian was and how fast he progressed, Yimo suspected that Yin Jiutian was possessed. Yin Jiutian's essence spirit before possession was very complete. He didn't need to possess to recover his body, but he chose possession. If this was really it, Yin Jiutian's cultivation speed could be explained. An ancient immortal had the ability to recover his body, but instead he chose possession. This meant that the target was definitely the best amongst best talent. Such person had no bottleneck. He would be able to keep progressing if he had resource, or perhaps recover his power. Last time he met Yin Jiutian, there was one small level difference, but now, there was two small level difference. The next time they met, the difference would probably be even greater. Yimo was desperate, but there was nothing he could do. No wonder he could know space law when he was abstruse immortal. What worried Yimo more was if this person recognized the world rock. He just hoped that since world rock was spirit controlled by him, and Yin Jiutian's power was too weak at the time that he didn't have the time to check his world rock during battle. But Yimo knew quite possibly that Yin Jiutian might have recognized it. Yimo, what are you thinking? It's a mere great eternity immortal tertiary stage. No need to be scared of him. Chi Baitsong patted Yimo, who was frowning in thought. What's wrong? Li Kuan and them all came over. Yimo shook his head. Nothing. I met an unfriendly person, never mind. Seeing this, the people deigned ask. They discussed about how to capture void flying snow. The group gathered together in discussion. Yimo didn't listen in at all. His spirit sense net improved greatly. He would be able to capture void flying snow easily. Yimo suddenly asked, if you can control a law and use that law to capture void flying snow, would it be very easy? Li Kuan looked at Yimo in confusion. She knew Yimo knew a sliver of space law, but she warned Yimo to not tell anyone. What was Yimo doing now? Jishu shook his head. First of all, it's extremely hard for great immortal to control law. Even if they can, it would only be a sliver. That would still be very hard to use to capture void flying snow. What law is the strongest? Yimo asked. Everyone was used to how clueless Yimo was. Unexpectedly, the saint from ethereal immortal pond said, in fact, any law is the most terrifying power in the universe if you cultivate it to the extreme. Of course, if you had to divide it, then for us low-grade immortals, time law is probably his strongest. Yimo felt strange the saint didn't laugh at him and instead explained to him, but he continued asking, thank you, Martial Sister Saint, for enlightening me. Then if you cultivate space law to the extreme, would it be not as powerful as time law? Yimo asked the most idiotic question, and people couldn't be bothered looking down on him, but they all felt strange why ethereal immortal pond saint would answer him. The saint thought for a moment and replied seriously, in fact, if you cultivate space law to the extreme, it's no weaker than time law, but no one has been able to. Then since the ancient times, which people in the immortal realm have great mastery over space law and time law? Yimo finally asked the question he wanted to ask. If Yin Jiutian was possessed by an ancient immortal and could control a sliver of space law as abstruse immortal, this meant he was previously a powerful being who controlled space law. Chapter 1753. A Mere Grand Emperor. Chapter 1753. A Mere Grand Emperor, a great eternity immortal whom Yimo didn't help the saint answer. It's probably Truth Divine Emperor who knows time law the most. Other than him, there's Scorched Divine Emperor. He can even make time flow backwards. Compared to time law, there are much more powerful beings who know space law, such as Ancient Peng Emperor, Dallas Grand Emperor, Wushuang Grand Emperor, Lin Gu Grand Emperor. Yimo saluted with his fists. Thank you, Martial Brother. I know Truth Divine Emperor, Peng Emperor, and Wushuang Grand Emperor. But who is Scorched Divine Emperor, Dallas Grand Emperor, and Lin Gu Grand Emperor? Seeing that Yimo was low cultivation level and didn't know much but seemed very respectful, he nodded in satisfaction. Some people who didn't know this also listened on the side. Scorched Divine Emperor's name is Bai Zhuohe. It said he has the number 2 rare flame of the world, Astral River Red. It also reached God Flame and devoured Astral Flame Marrow, becoming the King of Flames. He used God Flame to vindicate Tao and is a powerful being just below Truth Divine Emperor. It's said that after the battle with Truth Divine Emperor, he never appeared again. Hearing this, Everyone sighed. At their level, Truth Divine Emperor and Scorch Divine Emperor were Tao Vindication divinities, but they still died. One could see that in the vast universe, there were no immortals who wouldn't die. Great Eternity Immortal saw everyone was listening in and continued. Taoist Grand Emperor's name is Yin Wudao. He came later than Truth Divine Emperor and Scorch Divine Emperor. He's also a very powerful being. In the ancient cosmos, powerful beings weren't as rare as today. There were tens of half-divine emperors. It's said he disappeared after Tao Vindication failure. Hearing Taoist Grand Emperor's surname was Yin, Yimo wanted to keep asking, but someone asked first. Scorched Divine Emperor vindicated Tao through God Flame. How did Taoist Grand Emperor vindicate Tao? Taoist Grand Emperor was extremely talented. His Tao vindication method is something others don't even dare to think. Everyone listened in wanting to know what it was. The Great Eternity Immortal sighed. Taoist Grand Emperor is indeed a rare prodigy of the heavens. He wanted to use the 33 heavens to vindicate his Tao. No one can understand his prodigy idea, but one thing is certain. If he could vindicate Tao through the 33 heaven domains, his power would be unimaginable. Yimo didn't understand how that would work, and neither did the rest of the people. That Great Eternity Immortal said, no one can understand that. It's said that Taoist Grand Emperor suddenly failed after vindicating the 24th heaven domain and died. Ever since then, there was no news of Taoist Grand Emperor. The Great Eternity Immortal continued to talk about Lin Gu Grand Emperor, but Yimo was 80% certain that Yin Jiutian was Taoist Grand Emperor. After vindicating 24 heaven domains, he was 9 heaven domains away from success. This had become his obsession. He chose the name Yin Jiutian, 9 heavens, probably because he still wants to vindicate the 33 heavens. Yimo heard the Great Eternity Immortal say that the Taoist Grand Emperor only cared about his own thoughts, and thus offended many people. Yimo thought this meant that Yin Jiutian wouldn't dare to let others know who he was. Yimo finally rested easy a little now. Yimo suddenly thought of one thing and saluted with his fists, asking, "Martial brother, I heard you said Scorched Divine Emperor used God Flame Astral River Red to devour Astral Flame Marrow. What does Astral Flame Marrow look like? I saw in an ancient jade slip that Astral Flame Marrow is a soft, or that is very high temperature. Is this true?" The Great Eternity Immortal smiled and shook his head no. The reason Astral Flame Marrow is rare is because it's very hard to grow. The soft tofu-like structure you mentioned is the first state of the Astral Flame Marrow. These usually exist in very desolate places in the immortal realm or some cultivation realm. If it's in the cultivation realm, this state of the Astral Flame Marrow is the hardest to collect. Even the truth realization state cultivators wouldn't be able to get near it. However, this state of Astral Flame River is the most precious. If you get it and use it to Nirvana Heaven Flame, it would be the best. When this flame grows to a certain level in the cultivation realm, it would gradually expand its range until burning a radius of 100 million km till everything in the entire realm. Then it would hide into the void. Only Astral Flame Marrow that hides into the void is real Astral Flame Marrow. It would be stealthed and protected by Void Flame. Ordinary people wouldn't even be able to see it. Even if they see it, they wouldn't be able to get it. That's why it's so precious. In this state, the marrow would gradually lose its temperature. When it matures to a certain level, it would be covered by Void Flame outside while the inside is liquid. This liquid is extremely cold but doesn't form ice. Only this is true Void Flame Marrow. Yimo suppressed his excitement and saluted with his fists in gratitude. He didn't expect he accidentally got Astral Flame Marrow in the first state and used it to Nirvana Blue like morning sky. Suddenly, an extremely loud voice sounded. "Those with a card participating in the fight for Pengyu Immortal Fruit, get on the ship." Yimo had been on the Immortal Ship many times, but this was the first time he saw one this big. There were 1,000,000 immortals, but each had a good cultivation room. Yimo got one too. It was large and there were 2 rooms. The immortal spirit chi was very dense too. The Grand Heaven domain was indeed different. Now, everyone went into their own cultivation room. Yimo stayed inside his thinking about things. He wasn't going to cultivate as he would need too much resources. Yimo only sat in his room for 2 hours or so, and the restriction on the door was touched. Yimo waved it open, and Yin Jutian quickly came in and set up his own barrier restriction. Yimo got up and stared at Yin Jutian coldly. He wasn't afraid of him. Yin Jutian didn't dare to fight in here. Even if he did, Yimo didn't believe he would lose. When he was abstruse immortal middle stage, Yin Jutian was abstruse immortal tertiary stage. They were almost evenly matched. Although Yin Jutian was 2 levels higher than him now, he learned a few powerful god arts coming out of the Tao-seeking tower. Yimo didn't dare to underestimate this Yin Jutian, however. He was a half-divine emperor. He probably knew much more about god art than him. It was probably very hard to win Yin Jutian. You have quite some secrets. I thought that World Rock was your biggest secret, but you also have Time Formation Disc? If I'm not wrong, Truth Divine Emperor's Time Formation Disc is on you, right? Yin Jutian's voice was so bleak that it made Yimo feel he went back to the immortal graveyard range. Yimo's heart sunk. Yin Jutian indeed knew about the World Rock and now even the Time Formation Disc. But it wasn't hard to guess. Without the Time Formation Disc, how could he cultivate so fast? Yin Jutian's voice was even colder. Give me Time Formation Disc and Spirit Will 9 transformations. I'll let you live. Yin Jutian didn't ask for World Rock. He knew that Yimo would definitely not give him that. Although the World Rock was far from as precious as the Time Formation Disc, but World Rock was what Yimo relied upon for survival. Looking at Yimo's contemptuous gaze, Yin Jutian wasn't worried at all and continued, if you infuriate me, I'll just say you have World Rock and Time Formation Disc. Even if I don't get it, you will be dead for certain. Yimo sneered and pointed outside, go say it. I'll be waiting. Yin Jutian's eyes narrowed. He didn't expect Yimo wasn't afraid of this. Did this guy know that he didn't want others to know the Time Formation Disc appeared? The Time Formation Disc was much more important to him than Yimo. At least to a mortal emperor, he would have no bottleneck. He just needed to convert cultivation resource to power. You're not scared? Yin Jutian's killing intent rose, forming invisible ripple around the space. I even took Truth Divine Emperor's World Rock. Why would I be scared of a mere Taoist Grand Emperor? You overestimate yourself. Yimo sneered. Yin Jutian's face changed. Immediately a black mist line appeared with screeching killing intent. Yin Jutian's face changed. Immediately a black mist line appeared with screeching killing intent. Yimo sneered and his power also rose. Yin Jutian eventually didn't attack. That black mist slowly retreated. But he didn't look at Yimo with just killing intent. There was deep concern too. He knew that he couldn't kill Yimo here. If he attacked, it would startle the immortal ship people. If his identity was spilled, he would have no place to bury himself, much less vindicate Tao. How did you know who I am? Yin Jutian put up a few more restrictions and asked coldly. Yimo felt great. Yin Jutian knew some of his secret, but comparatively, he knew more his Yin Jutian's secret. He could deny he had Time Formation Disc, but Yin Jutian couldn't deny he was Taoist Grand Emperor. How I know that isn't important. More importantly, I know that you'll probably have to chance your name and face after coming back from Qingwei Heaven. Yimo sneered at Yin Jutian. Someone like Yin Jutian wouldn't talk to others. Even if he had to contact them, he wouldn't use the same identity. If it wasn't for the Pengyu immortal fruit, Yimo knew Yin Jutian probably wouldn't come. But Yin Jutian probably never even dreamed that an abstruse immortal he saw in the Middle Heaven domain would be on the same boat to Qingwei Heaven a few decades later. Yin Jutian didn't answer and just asked Yimo again, how did you know it? Who do you think you are? I need to tell you? Piff off. Otherwise don't blame me for attacking. Taoist Grand Emperor. Yimo said plainly. Shut up. The veins on Yin Jutian's head was bulging. He was scared of Yimo calling him Taoist Grand Emperor the most. Really? I'm going to call you Taoist Grand Emperor. When I go out, everyone on the immortal ship will know that Taoist Grand Emperor is here. Yimo laughed, not taking Yin Jutian's threat seriously. Die. Yin Jutian couldn't resist the fury in his heart. Ever since he came out, when was he threatened like this? His black mist turned into a very fine needle that was 10 meters long. Yimo's room wasn't big, but this long needle had completely bound the space in Yimo's room. Yimo didn't dodge. Yin Jutian used to be an immortal emperor. Even if he couldn't use Immortal King domain, He was able to seal the space nearby with his great eternity immortal tertiary stage power. Plus, this person was experienced in space law. At the same time, Yemo's world rock fell. He used almost 80% of his immortal essence on his first attack. He didn't dare to take Yin Jiutian lightly. Although the world rock looked very scary when falling down, it wasn't a real god art. Yemo knew this wasn't a life and death battle. Yin Jiutian didn't use full power. He didn't need to as well. He just needed to create a big scene. Seeing Yemo act like this, Yin Jiutian's face changed. Yemo's immortal essence was far beyond his expectation. If the world rock fell like this, even if he smashed the world rock to the side, it would startle other people. He was scared of that the most. He had concerns, but Yemo didn't. Even if Yemo had time formation disk, he only needed to hand it out and he might be able to live, but he would be dead for sure. Instantly, Yin Jiutian took back the black mist line and changed into a net, stopped the world rock. Yin Jiutian knew that Yemo's immortal essence was only that much weaker than his. This meant he couldn't instantly kill Yemo. Stop. There's no benefit in fighting for either of us. Yin Jiutian yelled. Yemo sneered but didn't have any intentions of stopping, while his immortal essence kept urging the world rock as though preparing for the next attack. He said coldly, "If you want to fight, then we fight. If you want to stop, then we stop. Who do you think you are?" Yin Jiutian knew that Yemo was only threatening him. Otherwise, Yemo could release his sword. He was furious, but he could only say, "Stop first, we'll discuss." Yemo didn't take back the world rock and kept exerting pressure while saying, "What's there to discuss between us? I only have a world rock. If the immortal king wants it, then take it. I don't care. By the way, I didn't get the time formation disk, believe it or not, up to you." Yemo's world rock broke free from the net and was going to smash down. Yemo was never going to admit the time formation disk. Even though Yin Jiutian was certain it was on him, he wasn't going to admit it. "Stop. I'll agree to a condition of yours." Yin Jiutian eventually succumbed. He was beginning to suspect if Yemo really got the time formation disk. If Yemo got the time formation disk, he should be scared to show it. "Oh, okay then." Yemo let the world rock hover above his head. Yin Jiutian knew Yemo was acting, but there was nothing he could do. To him, his life wasn't on the same level as Yemo's life. Even 10,000 Yemo wasn't worth his life. If this idiot brought out the powerful beings on the immortal ship, he would be over. Seeing Yemo stopped fighting, Yin Jiutian was about to leave. He regretted coming here. He should have found an opportunity in the void to kill Yemo. "I haven't said my condition. Are you going to go?" Yemo said plainly. Yin Jiutian turned around. The fury was gone. He said calmly, "Say it. I paid a heavy price to come to the Grand Heaven Domain." "How did you come up here?" Yemo asked. "Because I have a low-grade god artifact time spaceboat," Yin Jiutian said. "Low-grade god artifact?" Yemo was immediately interested. Even though he refined Blue Moon many times and brought it to top-grade flying immortal artifact, it wasn't enough compared to god artifact. If he had low-grade god artifact, he would be able to fly from Grand Heaven Domain to Middle Heaven Domain in 5 years and Middle to Low Heaven Domain in a year. He needed this desperately, otherwise taking a mortal ship would take decades to get from Grand to Middle Heaven Domain, and the ticket was a fortune. Seeing Yemo about to drool, Yin Jiutian said in contempt, "Time spaceboat has countless replicas." Yemo said with joy, "Yours is the real one, right?" "Mine is only an ordinary replica," Yin Jiutian said calmly. He'll leave it with Yemo for a few days. He wasn't afraid he couldn't kill Yemo in the void. Yemo was shook. Even a replica low-grade god artifact was this powerful. How powerful was the real one? Yemo looked at Yin Jiutian and said, "Give me your time spaceboat, and you can go. I won't spill your identity." Unexpectedly, Yin Jiutian threw an extremely pretty boat to Yemo without hesitation and left. Yemo destroyed Yin Jiutian's restriction and closed the door before setting up his own restriction. He knew what Yin Jiutian thought. The reason he gave it to him so quickly was because he considered him dead. But Yin Jiutian can keep dreaming if he thought he would be able to get back things from his hands. Unless Yin Jiutian reached Immortal King, otherwise, he wouldn't be able to stop him. Even if he can't beat Yin Jiutian wouldn't be able to keep him. Yemo scanned his spirit sense in the boat. There seemed to be countless restriction. Yemo was afraid Likuin and them would come for him, so he hung a solitary cultivation card outside the door before going in the room to spirit control the space-time boat. Anything could happen in the void. He would be able to use this to escape. Yin Jiutian was extra careful while controlling this boat. He found all the marks that Yin Jiutian left on the boat. A month passed quickly. During this time, Li Kuan, Ji Shu, Qi Baitsong, and them came to see Emo, but seeing the solitary cultivation card, they could only leave speechlessly. A month passed quickly. During this time, Li Kuan, Ji Shu, Qi Baitsong, and them came to see Emo, but seeing the solitary cultivation card, they could only leave speechlessly. They were very little people who even cultivated on the immortal ship, much less go into solitary cultivation. This ship was going to stop halfway, and then people would be going out to capture void flying snow. There were very little people like Yemo who used even this time. However, they did admire Yemo's hard-working attitude. Li Kuan came to Yemo a few times, but Yemo was always in solitary cultivation. Seeing that the time for capturing void flying snow was coming, Li Kuan was desperate, but there was nothing she could do. 2 months later, the time-space boat in Yemo's hands buzzed, and the dark blue color receded. Everything inside it cleared appeared in Yemo's brain. Yemo was overjoyed. He had completely spirit-controlled this time-space boat. The inside space was tens of times larger than Blue Moon, and the layout was also very grand. Spirit-gathering immortal formations were already set up. One only needed to put immortal crystals inside to use. Even the defense formation was far stronger than Blue Moon's. There were all sorts of sensory formations too. It was like the void flying snow, and could avoid dangers in the void. At the tail of the boat, there was 2 propelling formations. If the time-space boat went forward at full speed, these propelling formations would activate and accelerate the time-space boat. What Yemo liked the most about the void location disk at the front was that although it couldn't pinpoint the exact location in the void, but it could point the approximate location of each heaven domain as well as its name. It might not be as fast as the void flying snow in the void, but the void flying snow was a headless fly in the void. After flying for a few decades, it might get back to where it started, but the time-space boat had a clear direction and can be controlled. Yemo was very happy with this. He finally had a decent flying magic artifact. Even a fake time-space boat was this powerful, then just how powerful was the real one? That magic artifact would on the same level as his time formation disk. Thinking about this, Yemo realized that although he had a lot of insane treasures, most of them are supplementary. He didn't have a real offensive and defensive treasure. He upgraded Zisu relentlessly before finally bringing it to a level 8 immortal artifact. The World Rock was just a small rock on the World Rock. The only decent magic artifact was the How Heaven Drum, but Yemo didn't dare to use it. If he did, then even an idiot would know he got the How Heaven heritage. He lacked a defensive magic artifact, Yemo sighed. He was a level 8 Immortal Forgery Grandmaster and could forge a top-grade defensive immortal artifact, but that really wasn't exciting for Yemo. After sighing, Yemo put away the time-space boat and took off the solitary cultivation card. Just when Yemo wanted to go find Li Kuan, he saw the ethereal immortal pond saint come over to him. Yemo quickly saluted with his fists, "Greet Martial Sister Saint." The saint helped him a lot. If it wasn't for her, he might not even know Yin Jiutian was Dallas Grand Emperor. That way, he would be the one threatened this time. Under that situation, he might even lose the time formation disk. "Martial brother, you just call me Mi-Yun. I want to have a sit in your room, is that okay?" Mi-Yun smiled. Her tone was very soft and charming. Yemo didn't know why she came to him, but she didn't look at him with scorn like others, and answered his questions too. "Martial Sister Mi-Yun, please come in." Yemo quickly moved aside and said, "Thank you, Martial Brother Yi." Mi-Yun then hung up the solitary cultivation sign for Yemo again. Seeing this, Yemo put on the restrictions again and asked after she sat down, "Martial Sister Mi-Yun, what business do you have with me? Can I come see you? I heard you went to the ethereal immortal well. We're half a sect member." Saint Mi-Yun laughed. There was a sliver of airiness in her tone. Yemo dazed. Were saints supposed to be formal and serious? Ningyi Yu found a man, and now Mi Yun didn't seem to act like a saint. Seeing Yimo daze, Mi Yun took back her smile and acted a little more serious. Martial brother Yi, I indeed need your help. Yimo quickly said, Martial sister Mi Yun, please say it. If it's something I can help with and not against my heart, I'm willing to help. Mi Yun got up and thanked before saying, Martial brother, you can hide your power to be great extreme immortal middle stage as great eternity immortal primary stage, and no one could see through it at all. One could say that Martial brother Ye's stealth cultivation method is definitely the best. Hearing this, Yimo immediately realized that there was nothing free in this world indeed. Mi Yun answered a few questions and wanted his cultivation method. Those questions were life questions to Yimo, but clearly she didn't know this. Since she didn't, it was over the line for her to ask for cultivation method. Mi Yun continued, Mi Yun knows this request is over the line, but that stealth cultivation method is very important to me. Martial brother Yi, you can ask for conditions. As long as Mi Yun can do it, I definitely will. Please just give me a copy of that stealth cultivation method. Yimo didn't answer. His stealth cultivation method came from 3 birth chant. Although she helped him, there was no way he was going to give his cultivation method. Because my master told me to not spread the cultivation method to anyone else. Martial sister Mi Yun is someone I respect. I can't reject you straight up. So, let me think about this again. Yimo said. There was no way he would give the stealth cultivation method from 3 birth chant to her, but he had plenty of cultivation method in his storage ring. He would find one and complete it, and then give it to her. Thank you, Martial brother Yi. Mi Yun was overjoyed and got up to thank. Seeing Yimo get up ready to send her out, Mi Yun left behind a jade slip and said, this is the way to capture void flying snow. Hope it might help Martial brother Yi a little. Just when Yimo wanted to rejected this, he remembered he needed this. When Li Kuan came to Yimo, she found that the restriction was open. She rejoiced and walked over, but then saw Mi Yun's saint come out of Yimo's room. Seeing Li Kuan dazing, Mi Yun greeted politely, Mi Yun greets sister Shiyu. Li Kuan just reacted and smiled awkwardly and chatted with her a little before going in Yimo's room. Brother, Mi Yun is ethereal immortal pond saint. Don't get too close to her. Due to Ningyi Yu, the ethereal immortal pond wouldn't allow this thing to happen again. If it does, they might punish seriously. Li Kuan said, immediately worried that Yimo would be enticed by Mi Yun. Yimo smiled, I know. Don't worry, sister Shiyu. Li Kuan nodded and added, the reason Ningyi Yu is fine is because Fang Chun comes from Fang Jinshan, a place with a few immortal emperor. The ethereal immortal pond doesn't dare to mess with them. Yimo nodded, and seeing a sliver of worry on her face, he asked, what's wrong? Li Kuan immediately said, someone wants to kill Qi Baitsong. I came to ask you what to do. Yimo wondered. This immortal ship was going towards Qingwei Heaven. Who had the guts to kill on this ship? Li Kuan quickly said he was challenged. If immortals have conflict on the ship, they can resolve the issue through duels on the battle stage. If you refuse the challenge, you must accept an insulting condition of the challenger. Qi Baitsong was challenged, but with his young city lord status, how can he accept an insulting condition? However, I delayed the time. I said to wait for you to come out first. Li Kuan quickly said he was challenged. If immortals have conflict on the ship, they can resolve the issue through duels on the battle stage. If you refuse the challenge, you must accept an insulting condition of the challenger. Qi Baitsong was challenged, but with his young city lord status, how can he accept an insulting condition? However, I delayed the time. I said to wait for you to come out first. Hearing this, Yimo breathed easy. This meant Qi Baitsong was fine for now. Who challenged him? Yimo asked. Li Kuan explained, Qi Baitsong offended Fendu Heaven East Abyss Emperor Sect's Xiang Changyong. Xiang Changyong is great eternity immortal peak stage, and very powerful. He's very famous amongst Fendu Heaven great immortals, but he's very murderous and violent. During these 2 months, he used challenges to kill quite some people. Yimo nodded and put the restriction back on his room before going with Li Kuan to see Qi Baitsong. Qi Baitsong was a young city lord, but like Ji Shu, he didn't have any bad habits and was quite a good person. He was genuine to friends. The only bad thing about him was he was a bit immersed in lust. When Yimo and Li Kuan entered Qi Baitsong's room, he found there were more than 10 people inside. They all came over from Changrong Heaven. Qi Baitsong's face was back. Clearly he knew he was no match for Xiang Sihongyo. Seeing Yimo come here, he nodded. Ji Shu and them got up and greeted the two. Brother Ji, what is going on? Yimo looked at Ji Shu and asked. Ji Shu sighed and glanced at Qi Baitsong that Xiang Changyong is too cocky. Baitsong is too careless and went to chat up Demon Joy sect Hua Rushue. Hua Rushue is an evil woman. She tricked Baitsong's things and told Xiang Changyong to kill Baitsong. Quite a few people Xiang Changyong killed on the ship were due to Hua Rushue. Yimo had heard of Demon Joy sect from Li Kuan. This was an infamous sect. No one inside the sect was good. Regardless, now that Qi Baitsong was targeted, Yimo wasn't going to watch this. When Yin Jutian threatened him, Qi Baitsong was the first to stand up for him. I think we should let a person who is as strong as Xiang Changyong to discuss with him. If he knows that we're not weaker than him, perhaps he would step down. Ji Shu looked at Fang Chen. It was obvious that he was the strongest here. Yimo remembered there was a halfway immortal king guy, but clearly that guy didn't want trouble, so he didn't come. Fang Chen wasn't dumb. Seeing everyone look at him, he coughed that Xiang Changyong is from East Abyss Emperor sect. Their power is no weaker than us Fang Jin Mountain, and those around him are the extreme grade great immortals from Fendu Heaven. Jiufan Immortal Pond Saint Yi is just one sliver away from Immortal King. Our power is so much weaker than theirs. I feel like a man should be able to see the times. Martial Brother Baitsong doesn't have to fight him head-on. Fang Chun clearly meant for Qi Baitsong to surrender. If one surrenders, not only does he ruin his own reputation, but the reputation of his sect. The victor can make the other person do anything that was insulting. If Qi Baitsong surrendered, he might as well die. Brother Qi, it's just a small thing. A mere Xiang Changyong is nothing. Yimo ignored Fang Chen's idea. This was an idiot idea. Qi Baitsong's face is bad, but hearing this he laughed. Brother Yi is right. There's only a Qi Baitsong that dies in battle. There's no Qi Baitsong that kneels down. Xiang Changyong challenged me. I'm a great eternity immortal tertiary stage. How can I be scared of him? Who will send the battle invitation for me? Everyone in the room dazed. Everyone knew that Qi Baitsong had to fight, but none of them persuaded Qi Baitsong to fight. Doing that was asking him to die. This Yimo just straight up encouraged Qi Baitsong to die. Ji Shu and them sighed. They were close to Qi Baitsong, and of course they knew Yimo was right. Ning Yu looked at Yimo and shook her head. Fang Chen sneered and said nothing. Even he was no match for Xiang Changyong. Instead of going to die, Qi Baitsong might as well suicide. He came here due to Ning Yu, and Ning Yu came here due to Li Kuan. Yimo laughed. Of course I'm going. Ning Yu looked worriedly at Li Kuan and said, Shi Yu, your brother. Li Kuan smiled but wasn't worried. She knew Yimo's power too well. He was definitely no weaker than Xiang Changyong. She also knew Yimo wasn't the type to let his friends go die. He lives at Fawn Du Heaven region, room A138. Help me set it to 3 days later. Qi Baitsong said. I'll go with you. Jia Shu got up and said. Yimo waved his hand. No need. I'll go alone. It's a mere battle invitation. Yimo said to Li Kuan, Sister Shi, you wait for me here. I'll go find Xiang Changyong. I'll be back soon. Then, Yimo turned to leave without wasting any time. Seeing this, everyone fell silent. The one who helped Yimo explain the space law before said, I feel that although Martial Brother Yi is impulsive, his words are right. We're immortal cultivators. How can we fear a battle? Dying in battle is better than living like a dog. Okay, everyone who came here today is my friend. I'm glad you didn't leave me in my most difficult time. I'll treat everyone. Then, Qi Baitsong took out barrels of wine and opened them up. Aroma spilled. Everyone knew this was Qi Baitsong's treasured stock. He probably knew he was going to lose for sure, so he shared it with everyone. The wine was great, but everyone wasn't in a good mood. They even felt guilty. They didn't leave Qi Baitsong, but none of them were able to help him. Instead, it was Yimo who sent the battle invitation for him. If we had a master like Lu Meng, who would dare to challenge us, Yin Hui finished a barrel and smashed it. Everyone fell silent. They knew he was right. They were a group. They grouped up to increase their power and not be abused. But now, Chi Baitsong was about to be killed, but no one dared to say anything. The Heaven Domain regions were distinct on the immortal ship. Yimo left Chong Rong Heaven area and soon found Fendu Heaven area. A 138 was very easy to find. There wasn't even a restriction on this room. The room was very noisy. Yimo walked to the door, and the 30 immortals inside looked at Yimo. None of them knew Yimo. Who are you? What business do you have here? A cold voice sounded. It was a great eternity immortal tertiary stage. It doesn't matter who I am. I came to send the battle invitation. Yimo sneered, not fearing the 30 great eternity immortal at all. After a brief silence, the room burst into laughter as though finding Yimo's serious attitude amusing. Yimo waited for the laughter to calm down before saying, "Who is Xiang Changyong? I'm challenging you." A bulky man got up suddenly. At the same time, his killing intent exploded out into a line towards Yimo and exploded before him. Yimo stood at the door and didn't move. It was like the killing intent met an invisible barrier. The force looked dominating, but Yimo's hair didn't even move. With this, everyone in the room's faces changed. Everyone here was at least very strong in the same level. Yimo was a great eternity immortal primary stage and could stop such powerful killing intent. Without his hair, even moving wasn't simple. With this, everyone in the room's faces changed. Everyone here was at least very strong in the same level. Yimo was a great eternity immortal primary stage and could stop such powerful killing intent. Without his hair, even moving wasn't simple. In fact, other than Yimo, everyone else's clothes moved, but they knew the killing intent was just targeted at Yimo. The bulky man's eyes narrowed. He was very strong and had a strong background too, but he wasn't dumb. He investigated those who he challenges. He investigated Chi Baitsong's friends. Other than that Wei Cho, who was halfway immortal king, and that Feng Chun, he didn't consider everyone else a threat. He knew Chi Baitsong also had a great eternity immortal primary stage, but seeing him today, he realized this great eternity immortal wasn't ordinary. I'm Xiang Changyong. When does Chi Baitsong want to fight? Just say it. I can't be bothered waiting. The bulky man, surprised, quickly disappeared and looked calmly at Yimo. Yimo scanned everyone else here and said, I need to give this battle invitation to you alone. Of course, if you don't dare to receive it alone, you can let everyone stay. Ha ha ha. Xiang Changyong laughed. There's a battle invitation I don't dare to accept? I will accept any challenge. You don't need to use your little tricks. Everyone please wait for a moment. I want to see what a mere great eternity immortal primary stage can do to me. Xiang Changyong's tone was very contemptuous. He considered Yimo dead too. After he challenged Chi Baitsong, he would be challenging Yimo next. Everyone seemed to know Xiang Changyong's character and immediately left. After everyone left, Yimo put a few restrictions on the door. On the account of you blocking my killing intent sever, I'll give you a chance to speak. Xiang Changyong stared at Yimo coldly. Take my punch first, Yimo said and punched. Xiang Changyong didn't expect Yimo dared to fight in his room, but his reaction was fast. He was furious. He wasn't even cocky yet, and a mere great eternity immortal primary stage dared to be this cocky. The next moment, a huge baton appeared before him. Yimo's punch seemed to have appeared out of nowhere and swept away all the space killing intent in this room. Endless killing force was born out of nowhere and formed a killing intent whirlpool in just a second and enveloped Xiang Changyong. Yimo could easily take the space killing intent of 1,000 km radius and control it into the size of a room. Xiang Changyong wasn't Yin Jiutian, he was far from it. Yimo wasn't even scared of Yin Jiutian. He didn't need to have any concerns teaching Xiang Changyong a lesson. He had the confidence to kill him and not startle anyone outside. Of course, Yimo wasn't going to kill Xiang Changyong. If he was, it wouldn't be in the room. Plus, Xiang Changyong's background was strong. Yimo didn't want to mess with the people behind him yet. When Yimo punched, Xiang Changyong was still sneering, but when Yimo brought all the killing intent in the room and the killing force kept increasing out of nowhere, Xiang Changyong frowned. He felt Yimo was no weaker than him. When Yemo's killing intent whirlpool formed and enveloped him inside and found it difficult to even control his magic artifact, Xiang Changyong's heart went ice cold. If Yemo's fist wind exploded around him, he would be the center of the explosion and get torn apart. At this moment, Xiang Changyong realized that Yemo wasn't on par with him, he was far beyond him. Yemo's such terrifying killing intent didn't even touch the walls of the room and knew that this wasn't Yemo's true power. If Yemo used his true power, he wouldn't last more than 10 seconds in front of this Great Eternity Immortal primary stage. How is there such terrifying Great Eternity Immortal in Changrong Heaven? His killing intent sever was worse than a pebble in the sea compared to this punch. No wonder Yemo's hair didn't even move. Such killing intent struck straight into Xiang Changyong's heart. Xiang Changyong felt that the next moment, his life would no longer belong to him. Cold sweat fell from Xiang Changyong. For the first time, he felt he was so close to death. Although Yemo attacked first and made him lose the first opportunity, but even if he was prepared, could he stop this punch? Even if he did, could he stop the next one? Just when Xiang Changyong closed his eyes waiting for death, that terrifying killing intent suddenly stopped and the killing force whirlpool disappeared slowly. Xiang Changyong's pale face breathed easy. He knew he just had a stroll in death's doors. If Yemo didn't take back this punch, he would be dead. Xiang Changyong immediately knew that Yemo used a fist god artifact. Yet Yemo could control such terrifying fist wind and force with such ease. One could see how strong Yemo was. The room returned to what it was before, but Xiang Changyong was sweating cold. He breathed easy, but his face was very bad. "I can easily kill you," Yemo said coldly. If Yemo said this when he first came in, he would have attacked already. Xiang Changyong put away his magic artifact. He knew Yemo was speaking the truth. Yemo continued, "I didn't come here to kill you. If I wanted to, I would challenge you." Xiang Changyong shivered. If he failed on the battle stage, he would be killed and be scorned for being killed by a Great Eternity Immortal primary stage after his death. After a moment of silence, he said heavily, "You're right. You can easily kill me. I was asked by someone to kill Chi Baitsong. If I knew Chi Baitsong had a friend like you, I won't challenge him." Xiang Changyong knew why Yemo asked everyone in the room to leave. It was to save face for him. Clearly, Yemo wasn't scared of him but didn't want to start conflict with him. "I appreciate your goodwill," Xiang Changyong added. He was violent, but he wasn't dumb. Yemo nodded. It was the best outcome that Xiang Changyong could calm down and answer his words. If Xiang Changyong was an idiot, Yemo would have to resort to challenging him. "Very well. I hope you can apologize to Chi Baitsong and say you were told by someone and cancel the challenge," Yemo said. Xiang Changyong subconsciously answered, "Impossible. I would definitely not apologize to anyone nor cancel the challenge." Yemo sneered, "In that case, I will challenge you first. I feel that Hua Rushuer isn't bad, you and her." "Wait." Xiang Changyong quickly stopped. "I agree to your request. But in order to do that, Chi Baitsong has to agree, or the challenge can't be cancelled. I will convince Chi Baitsong. He won't make it hard for you. You're a smart person. I believe you know what to do. I can't mess with East Abyss Emperor's sect yet, and I don't want conflict with them, but I don't want something to happen to my friend. But just because I don't want conflict doesn't mean I'm scared of any power." Yemo's words made Xiang Changyong know clearly that Yemo didn't consider him a threat. He just didn't want to offend East Abyss Emperor's sect. If he did, he would eventually get back at them. Xiang Changyong didn't feel Yemo was talking big. Yemo could easily kill a Great Eternity Immortal peak stage as Great Eternity Immortal primary stage. Clearly, Yemo's future was boundless. "I agree, but if Chi Baitsong insults me, I would rather die in your hands," Xiang Changyong said. Yemo nodded and left. He believed Chi Baitsong would insult Xiang Changyong. "May I ask of your name, friend?" Xiang Changyong quickly saluted with his fists and asked. "Solo Cultivator Yemo." Yemo opened the restriction. There were still many Great Eternity Immortals outside. Some were Xiang Changyong's friend. Some came to see the fun. They wanted to see if Xiang Changyong would kill this Great Eternity Immortal primary stage. Seeing Yemo leave rapidly, everyone was confused. According to Xiang Changyong's temper, this guy should either be dead or heavily injured, but Yimo left perfectly fine. Seeing Yimo leave rapidly, everyone was confused. According to Xiang Changyong's temper, this guy should either be dead or heavily injured, but Yimo left perfectly fine. Moments later, Xiang Changyong appeared at the door. Compared to Yimo, these Great Eternity Immortal felt like a lot about Xiang Changyong changed. His face didn't seem very good, and there were slight waves on his immortal essence. Friends, I just heard Qi Baitsong's friend explain. I just realized I was used by someone. I can fight to death, but there's no way I'm going to let myself be used. Xiang Changyong's words made people very confused. Xiang Changyong was using an excuse to kill Qi Baitsong. How come he said he was being used? Didn't he like people using him to kill? Xiang Changyong said seriously, Xiang Changyong, am a clean person, wrong is wrong. I will not let people use me. They want to use me to challenge Qi Baitsong. I'm not going to let them have it their way. This time, I've decided to apologize to Qi Baitsong. Xiang Changyong's words shook everyone nearby. What was this? Xiang Changyong going to apologize personally? With this temper, he would only kill Qi Baitsong and then challenge the person who used him. A few cunning Great Eternity Immortal were already onto something. They immediately joined Brother Xiang is indeed a clean and upright person. After knowing he was used, he still uses a nice manner to apologize to an ordinary Great Eternity Immortal. He indeed has the mannerism of a big sect. With Brother Xiang's unparalleled Tao heart, his accomplishment would be boundless. With people leading the way, the rest immediately knew what happened and all clapped. Xiang Changyong felt a little awkward, but he was grateful to those Great Eternity Immortal. At least his status and face was saved. Those smart Great Eternity Immortal already knew the problem was with the Great Eternity Immortal primary stage who sent the battle invitation. If it's sant that Xiang Changyong was really powerful, some people even suspect he was taught a lesson inside. This was too absurd, however. As soon as Yimo left Fendu Heaven region, he saw someone familiar, little immortal King Lu Meng. He sneered at him, clearly waiting for him here. No wonder you killed Ming Kai. You're a Great Eternity Immortal. So amazing. Lu Meng sneered. Yimo knew Lu Meng hated him to the bones, but he didn't care. He had time-space boat. He could go anywhere. You're right. My Great Extreme Immortal was fake. Great Eternity Immortal is real. It's better than something that can't be real. Yimo said. Lu Meng was very annoyed seeing that Yimo sneering him for being a fake immortal king, but he couldn't fight here. I'm warning you to stay away from 11U. Otherwise, you won't even know how you die. Lu Meng threatened again. Yimo ignored him and immediately left. Lu Meng sneered, but there was nothing he could do. At this moment, a Great Eternity Immortal came to deliver Lu Meng a message. Yimo wasn't going to let this go, and his spirit sense sneaked over. Yimo only heard the words, 5-element item, auction, immortal king. Lu Meng immediately left. He seemed very desperate. Yimo didn't care about auctions. There were ones every day. He cared about the 5-element item. It made Yimo think of his stone stools. Thinking about this, Yimo was in no rush to go back and immediately chased after Lu Meng in invisibility. There were many restrictions on the immortal ship, and in less than 15 minutes Lu Meng disappeared from him. Brother Yi. Just when Yimo was thinking about how to get to the auction, a voice of surprise and joy sounded. Yimo recognized this person. It was Ren Elijin and Chu Chi next to her. To be honest, Yimo really didn't want to see these two. He didn't expect they had the right to go to Qingwei Heaven. Yimo could only saluted with his fists and greet them. So it's Martial Sister Li Jin and Brother Chu. We meet again. I believe you two are going to Qingwei Heaven too? Chu Chi quickly said, yes, thank you for your help, Brother Yi. Seeing Yimo here, Chu Chi was very shocked. Yimo could appear here, meaning that in the battle at the palace, Hei Warren was probably dead. Yimo being Great Eternity Immortal primary stage was very normal to him. Last time Yimo was Great Extreme Immortal peak stage. Yimo didn't want to mention the past and quickly said, it's nothing. You guys should be in Jinshang Heaven. How are you guys here? In order to go to Qingwei Heaven, the immortal residents used a lot of effort. We know it's very hard for us to get the Pengyu immortal fruit, but it's better to see the world. It's the marketplace ahead. We brought some immortal artifact we want to sell. Renli Jin quickly said. Yimo knew that they must be selling the immortal artifact they got in the immortal graveyard range. Yimo immediately said, Perfect, I want to go to the marketplace too. This was just a marketplace on the immortal ship, but it as popular as marketplaces in some immortal cities. There were mostly Great Eternity Immortal inside, only a few Great Extreme Immortal. Yimo let Chu Chi and Renli Jin go set up their stall first. He wanted to find out about the auction and didn't want others to know. Why is Yimo still not back? Jiruyan was worried. Xiang Changyong's temper was bad and they all knew. If Yimo offended Xiang Changyong wouldn't dare to kill him, but he could heavily injure Yimo or destroy his power. Yimo was just sending a battle invitation. It shouldn't take this long. Even Jishu and them were getting worried. Li Kuan wasn't worried at all, but seeing everyone worry, she began to worry too. She trusted Yimo's power, but what if they gained up on Yimo? Thinking about this, Li Kuan couldn't sit down anymore and immediately got up and said, I'll go have a look. Sister Shiyu, let me go. Jishu got up. He was close with Yimo. At this moment, the restriction of the room moved. Someone came. Chi Baitsong was a little tipsy, but he immediately felt it and opened the restriction saying, Brother, you should be back. But when he opened the restriction, he was dazed. It wasn't Yimo at the door, it was Xiang Changyong here, but there was no Yimo. Chi Baitsong guessed that Yimo might be heavily injured and immediately got up in fury. Everyone else realized what happened. Yimo was heavily injured, and Xiang Changyong came to show off. Yimo's friends were only Jishu, Chi Baitsong, Jiruyan, and Yin Hui. Everyone else guessed what happened, but no one got up. Where is my brother Yimo? Li Kuan's eyes went red and yelled at Xiang Changyong. Seeing the furious Li Kuan, who couldn't even control her killing intent, Xiang Changyong dazed. He just came here and didn't attack Li Kuan. But soon he immediately realized what happened. Li Kuan clearly thought he did something to Yimo. Li Kuan was Yimo's sister. Xiang Changyong was scared and quickly saluted with his fists, Martial sister. Brother, you went to my place and sat for a while and left. I don't know where he went, but I believe he should be back soon. Everyone in the room dazed. Since when was Xiang Changyong so easy to talk to? Was this the violent-tempered Xiang Changyong? What shocked them even more was that Xiang Changyong turned to Chi Baitsong and said, Brother Chi, I was tricked by someone before to challenge you. Luckily, I know what happened now. I came to apologize to you and take back the challenge. Please forgive me, Brother Chi. In this instant, the room was extremely silent. Xiang Changyong came to apologize and take back the challenge. If it wasn't that Xiang Changyong's tone was genuine, no one would believe this was real. If it wasn't that Xiang Changyong's tone was genuine, no one would believe this was real. Seeing the silence in the room, Xiang Changyong felt very awkward and said genuinely, Brother Chi, what do you think? Chi Baitsong was a little tipsy, but he instantly woke up now. He realized that Xiang Changyong came to apologize probably due to Yimo. Chi Baitsong wasn't going to reject, of course. He quickly saluted with his fists. So someone started this conflict using you. Since Brother Xiang came to apologize, this little matter is over. Please, come have a drink too. Chi Baitsong gave Xiang Changyong a way down. Then, Chi Baitsong poured a cup of wine for Xiang Changyong. Now, Jishu and them all realized that Xiang Changyong was indeed here to apologize. Xiang Changyong really didn't want to drink here, but was afraid Yimo would think his apology wasn't genuine. So he quickly finished the cup and said, all the unhappiness and misunderstanding is over with this drink. Chi Baitsong was very happy and laughed. Of course, Brother Xiang has an open heart. I greatly admire it. That little misunderstanding is nothing. With this, Xiang Changyong felt assured and immediately saluted with his fists. In that case, I'll be leaving. Xiang Changyong walked to the door but suddenly thought of something and turned back. When Brother Yi comes back, if he has the time, I welcome him to come visit. Then, Xiang Changyong suddenly remembered what Yimo said before he left. Solo cultivator Yimo. Only now did he realize the meaning of that. Being solo cultivator meant that Yimo was alone and could go anywhere. If he kept looking for trouble with Yimo's friends, Yimo would attack without hesitation. Seeing Xiang Changyong leave, the room full of people went into discussion. They all realized that Xiang Changyong came to apologize due to Yimo, but Yimo was a great eternity immortal primary stage. How could he convince Xiang Changyong to apologize? Only Li Kuan knew that Yimo didn't persuade with words, he persuaded with fists. Since Xiang Changyong came to apologize, it meant that he considered the consequences of not apologizing. Ha ha ha, Qi Beizong laughed and felt very satisfied. With Xiang Changyong apologizing to him, he would have everywhere he went if he told the story. Many thanks to Brother Yi today. Why isn't he back? Qi Beizong wanted to celebrate, but he realized that Yimo wasn't back. Li Kuan said, "My brother probably has some business, don't worry about him. It seems that with Yimo on our team, no one would dare to challenge us." Jishu laughed. Jishu knew a little more about Yimo than everyone else. The depressing atmosphere immediately lightened up with Xiang Changyong's apology. Yimo went to a few shops and still got no news about the auction. He even wanted to find Lu Meng straight up. At this moment, he saw a huge sign on a merchant tower that clearly spelled E-Tower Auction. Yimo immediately went inside. 5 minutes later, Yimo came out of the tower. He realized that this auction wasn't the auction he wanted to go to. But he also found out from here that there was a Ding Xiang auction that only invited those with high status. Lu Meng was the disciple of the Chong Rong Heaven's Heaven Lord. Clearly he had the opportunity. Yimo guessed that Mi Yun Saint of Ethereal Immortal Pond probably was invited too, but he didn't know if Li Kuan was invited. Yimo had decided to go ask Sister Shiyu first and then Mi Yun. Before he left the marketplace, he heard some ruckus. Ren Li Jin's voice was very loud. Yimo knew that there was probably some issue at their stall, so he went over without hesitation. "Brother Yi." Ren Li Jin had this fear towards Yimo. She felt Yimo was very mysterious and powerful. She quickly greeted Yimo when he came. "What's going on?" Yimo looked at the rusty pill cauldron in Ren Li Jin's hands. Chu Chi quickly said, "After we saw this pill cauldron, I felt it wasn't ordinary and wanted to put it away. But this immortal friend tried to force me to sell this cauldron to him. I didn't want to, and he's causing trouble here. Your stall is clearly selling old products. I just picked this up from your stall. How am I causing trouble? If you don't want to sell, then don't set up a stall here." A great eternity immortal peak stage yelled. Ren Li Jin immediately said, "Why can't I set up stall here? Does this marketplace belong to you? Show me the cauldron." Yimo reached out his hand. "Brother Yi, if you like this pill cauldron, you can have it. I'll give it to you for free. I'm not going to sell it to this rude person," Ren Li Jin said. The great eternity immortal peak stage sneered and just stared at Yimo's cauldron, saying nothing. Clearly, he really wanted it. Yimo took the pill cauldron and scanned it with his spirit sense. When he saw waves and waves of restrictions, he immediately realized why this great eternity immortal peak stage wanted it so much. This was a low-grade god artifact. A low-grade god artifact pill cauldron would be worth the same as an ordinary middle-grade god artifact. Yimo was immediately interested in this god artifact. "Brother Chu, martial sister Li Jin, this pill cauldron is a good magic artifact. I'm an immortal pill master. It's useful to me." Before Yimo finished, Chu Chi said, "Martial Brother Yi, you saved us before. If you like it, then take it. Plus, martial sister Li Jin agreed to give it to you." "Then thank you," Yimo said. He really did save them, and to be fair, he abandoned this cauldron. He didn't expect there were really good things in that pile of trash. There's a chronological order to things. I came first. What right do you have to take it? The great eternity immortal immediately became desperate. Yimo took the pill cauldron and stared at this great eternity immortal. "Did you see me buy it? They gave it to me for free. Did you not hear it?" The people watching immediately laughed out. The great eternity immortal was at a loss of words. But he immediately changed his position and saluted with his fists. "Friend, this pill cauldron is really important to me. Name a price. I will buy it from you. If you have to buy it, then I'll sell it to you." Yimo frowned and said. He didn't believe this great eternity immortal would be able to afford it. The Gid immediately said happily, "Okay, thank you, friend." Yimo waved his hand. "Don't thank me yet. This pill cauldron is very pricey. If you can't afford it, don't blame me. Tell me, The great eternity immortal said calmly. He believed with his fortune he would be able to shock this great eternity immortal primary stage. Yemo nodded. One extreme great immortal range. If you can take out an entire one, you can have this pill cauldron. Yemo didn't know which one was more valuable, but he knew his price wasn't overpriced. To Yemo, the extreme great immortal range was more important because he had a Shin-known cauldron. This great eternity immortal immediately pointed at Yemo in fury, thinking Yemo was mocking him. He didn't even have a low-grade immortal range. Not even immortal emperors had an extreme-grade immortal range. Not even every grand emperors had an extreme-grade immortal range. At this moment, another voice sounded, "Brother Yi, can you show that pill cauldron to me? Of course the price will be what you say." You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.